Good evening and welcome back to another episode of Please Call Me Crazy or Professor Penn podcast or HEBROES if you want to
Okay.
consolidate them. The HEBROES show is coming soon. We're working out the kinks just one thing at a time. I got the John Fredericks radio show starting up in the beginning of January. So you guys will be able to hear me on a daily basis there. We're going to post those radio shows to the YouTube channel as well, the Royce White USA YouTube channel. But for tonight, we're going to air this on Professor Penn's podcast, and then I'm going to rerun it on Friday for my family and friends episode because, hey, we might as well
Get some mileage out of it.
get some dual use out of it. The conversation is going to be great, I assume. Welcome back, Professor Penn, or I shouldn't even say welcome back. Good to see you. Merry Christmas. We're fast approaching the new year, which is sure to be the craziest or one of the craziest years of my lifetime, certainly when it comes to American politics. We're going to pour the McAllen here. But good to see you, my man. How are you?
Merry Christmas. Good to see you too.
Yeah. Go ahead. I'm going to pour. Slide that glass over here. We're going to do the McAllen thing today. We've been meaning to do this, but I was doing a water fast, and I'm still doing somewhat of a fast. But we're gonna deal with this.
I'm going to make a toast.
A toast.
A toast. This is the toast. 1 year ago at this time, we were sitting in a car, and Royce looked at me and he goes, "Man, we could do so much if we started podcasting." He goes, "You'd be great as a podcaster." And my answer was, "What's a podcast?" What's a podcast?
Yeah.
Because, my age and as busy as I am, I don't have a lot of time to do that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But as it turned out, it worked out pretty well. We came a long way in 1 year.
Yeah.
One
Toast,
year.
man.
Here's to you.
Yeah.
A healthy 2024.
Yes.
I hope we're here at this time next year having another one.
Well, and I guess that's what we're going to talk about today, huh? The title of this podcast is rightfully Houthi and the Blowfish.
You did it. Couldn't hold yourself back.
Episode 147, Houthi and the Blowfish. We're going to talk about this scourge. Is that what you want to call it? this skirmish. I mean, the thing between Palestine and Israel kind of blew up, then it died down. Now it's starting to bubble up again. It's starting to spread into the greater region, and people are going to play their cards, how they're going to play their cards. And you were watching some of the activity over the weekend or over the past week.
I can't help myself. What'd you call it? Fear porn?
The fear porn is out of control in this country and around the world. I mean, it's just fear porn nonstop. If you're not afraid of losing your hair or losing your ability to have an erection or losing your ability to, kill your children, kill your child for some women, or losing your ability to, sell out ad nauseum to whatever political, scientific, managerial elite there are. If you're not worried about that, and I got to sell you this or I got to sell you that, or, you're going to miss out on the next trend. You need the iPhone 15. Because if you don't have the iPhone 15, then you don't have the best camera. Then your pictures that you post on Instagram where you link your ass cheeks to OnlyFans for money, big money too, then you've missed the boat. Then your life is meaningless, right? And so, yeah, it's just fear porn. It's like turtles all the way down. And if there's a real diagnosis of the society we live in, the fact that women make as much money as they make on OnlyFans is probably the single greatest example. I mean, it's obscene. The amount of money that young women can make, what men have done, we say this earlier before, but I say it again. It's a crisis of femininity, but it's a failure of masculinity. The fact that men have become such jerk-offs that women now forego the former women's rights modus operandi for OnlyFans. I mean, the women's rights initially, the movement initially was, we want to be able to go to school. We want to be able to get educated. We want to be able to be in the workplace. We want to be able to vote. We want to have equal citizenship in some sense. Now it's we want the fast track. I mean, you guys have already screwed us. Is their pitch is, or their rationale is, you guys have already screwed us for so long. We don't even want to play around with equal opportunity anymore. We want a fast track. We want to exploit your your vulnerability to jerking off. And so there's women that are making $150,000 a month on OnlyFans, and guys are subscribing. And what's worse about it is not even just. I mean, you would think it's pornography or like video chat, and there's probably a combination of the of things that they do. But I mean, it's getting freaky, like just women with their feet making $30,000-$40,000 a month on OnlyFans, just posting pictures of their feet. And so, if that's not bad enough, hey, we're going to go to war with the Houthis too.
I've watched this.
I'm going to make sure this light is all the way on. Keep going.
I watched this. I watched this my entire life. I was born at a time when women had very limited options. The option was to get married and have kids, and was a traditional family structure, a traditional religious structure. And, there was people out there on the front lines. One of them was my mother. She was one of the original bra burners. And her political philosophy, her entire life, has been about righting the wrongs that she believed had been foisted upon women.
Mm-hmm.
And in 73, we had Roe versus Wade. 74, my whole high school went on the pill. In 75, the orgy began. It was just that quick. I mean, because all these girls came back in 74. I mean, I was in high school.
Mm.
And they all started saying we're on the pill. And we didn't have any idea what the pill, we didn't know what the pill was.
Mm-hmm.
What's the pill? Oh, I went for my primary care checkup, and my doctor asked me if I was having problems with my period. I heard this many times. We didn't even know about periods. I mean, this was not something people talked about in the early 70s.
Really? It was that.
Oh, we had no idea. I mean, National Geographic was, that was porn. I mean, most of us didn't even have access to Playboy at the time.
That's how far we've come
in my lifetime.
50 years.
It's just crazy. And
scary.
Well, the girls, I don't even know what they really were thinking about it. I mean, when they went into I don't think they were looking to be sexually active. I think they went to their primary care checkup to get back into school, and then somebody had been going around to all the doctors in my town and selling the doctors on prescribing the pill, because that's the way that business works, right? The drug company has a salesman, and if you get so many prescriptions written, you get a junket to Hawaii, or however they do it. There's some kind of quid pro quo. But when the girls figured out that they could have sex without the concern about pregnancy, which was a double banger, because now there was also, abortion was also the law of the land, right?
Tied in there, yeah.
Oh, everybody just went. Took about 2 years. The whole culture went bananas. Just bananas. The change was so quick. The change was so quick that there was no response.
I mean, and I didn't even mean to sidetrack it, because I want to talk about this military activity that's going on there with the Houthis and this whole deal, because that really is the signal from the noise, right? And for everybody out there who doesn't understand, the military-industrial complex is always, for the most part, the signal from the noise. That's just my opinion. The most important thing we should be worried, the three things: the debt, the border, forever wars. Very simple. America first, top three priorities: the debt, the border, the military-industrial complex, and the forever wars.
It's taken the movement, so to speak, to boil this down, because you can go down, you were talking about the sexual politics. You can go down that highway.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of different places to get lost in the weeds. We now have understood what the Democrat is selling, be they Democrat or Republican, the Uni Party. We know what they're selling. We got that down to three issues, right?
Yep.
Climate change, social equity, democracy. Very simple. If you like climate change as your modus operandi and you're willing to give up everything you're ever going to have for it, they got a place for you to go. I mean, really, it's about poverty. Their ideology brings about poverty, a shared poverty, because we love this earth so much, we hate ourselves.
Well, and I don't know if you saw, but I posted on Twitter. I was watching Godzilla because family time, holidays. I'm a movie watcher in general. I love movies.
Did you watch Payback?
I'm gonna watch
Would you
Payback.
please
I'm gonna
watch?
watch it tonight. But I was watching Godzilla. King of Monsters is the second Godzilla that's come out in this latest iteration of recent Godzilla canon, and the plot of this particular Godzilla is there is a number of monsters that they've located. These titans, they call them titans: Godzilla, Mothra, King Ghidorah. All these different. Kong. They're considered titans in this universe. And they found them. They located them through this program called Monarch. And the woman and man from the first Godzilla that came out about 2016, they're now featured in this movie as two scientists or researcher type people. And the movie just kicks off right away. For those, and spoiler alert if you haven't seen it, it's actually a decent movie. The graphics and animation are incredible. But it kicks off, and you got to have a merc group that comes to raid the facility to try and use these titans or monsters for their own ill agenda, right? Crooked agenda. Turns out the woman who's married to one of the other main characters, or was married, they share a child together. You think that she's a good guy being, caught in the middle of this raid from these mercs, but really she actually is behind the plot. And they get to this point in the very early part of the movie where she's on the comms, visual comms, pass through from one ship, one Raptor, a helicopter, one Raptor to another Raptor. And she's explaining to her kid's father why she's involved in this plot. And it's about a 4-minute monologue about humans being the infection of the planet and releasing these titans, although it's going to probably kill billions of people, will be good for the planet because the titans have a level of radiation that encourages vegetation, growth, life, so to speak. And it's just the most anti-human pitch. And I bring it up just to say that their climate racket, it's explicitly anti-freedom because it's anti-God and it's anti-human. But they are earth worshipers. And and what's hard to tell is if they genuinely worship the earth or if they're just using it as the worst front of all time. Because I know there are people and this is what I've been trying to do on Please Call Me Crazy lately, is distill down between the sort of monolithic figureheads of these political ideologies and global movements versus the grassroots drones and sheep on the ground in any given community. Because if you hear Newland or Kagan or Klaus or Harari talk about things from a philosophical standpoint, it's much different than when you talk to your average person who's going to run out on the street and sit in front of a crosswalk or lay down in a crosswalk on behalf of the climate. I don't think Klaus and those people really believe in the things that they're preaching. I think they're just using it completely as manipulation. But I think the people on the grassroots level really do believe, number one, that the earth is in great peril, and number two, that human beings are the problem and the plague of existence. What do you think?
I think they're the same people that stood around on street corners and said, repent because the end is near. It's the same impulse.
Mm.
Human beings are afraid of dying. That's very normal, natural.
Yeah.
And what we're waking up to in the America First movement is how deeply that fear is being manipulated by the people that we would be trusting to allay our fears.
Yeah.
But instead, we were just coming on air. I was just saying to Royce, we're talking about fears. I said, well, there's now a UFO that's alleged to have been by Air Force One when Biden was on it. No, there's a asteroid coming. What they call that asteroid? What they call that?
God of Chaos.
The God of Chaos is coming. I mean, we're constantly being perturbated. And how can you think clearly when you're terrified? I mean, that's really what we're getting. You just said as the lead into the thing that next year was going to be this incredible year coming, and maybe not. We really don't know it. Yes, because of the elections.
Yeah, it's going to be regardless.
But I mean, we have this increasing dread.
I'm not dreading it at all, and I want to be clear. I'm not saying it's gonna. I'm not afraid at all. I'm not afraid at all.
Great lead.
I'm lead. Yeah, I'm I'm a man of faith. I mean, I'm afraid of things like this. I was at a basketball game recently. Okay, a high school basketball game. Spend a lot of time with my alma mater. It gives me such joy to spend time with the young high school kids, not only at the high school level but the younger ones too, and kind of building a special program at Hopkins. It's always been a special program, but it's special for me to be able to be involved, and I'm enjoying the kids. But anyway, I'm at this varsity basketball game, and we're at another high school, and this high school is in a little bit rougher part of town. Got a lot of crime and stuff in the area. So naturally, the younger kids, it's always been that way. If you're from Minnesota, Minneapolis, back in the day, go to a Minneapolis North Henry game, you go to a St. Paul Johnson Central game, you're bound to have some scuffle, some fireworks, and in worst case scenario, might be some gunshots in the parking lot. Usually never in the gym, but certainly in the parking lot. Well, this particular high school, which I won't say because I don't want to bad brand them. You know what I mean? I think they're trying to work on it. But anyway, we're at this school, and I'm sitting down after our game was over. It's like a big jamboree, bunch of teams played. I'm sitting down, and I'm watching the next game. And at about halftime of the game, I'm starting to look around and see. I had a couple of the younger kids there, 7th, 8th graders, to watch the game. And I'm looking around trying to find them because I'm, thinking of heading out. And just as I started to do that, there was a scuffle that broke out behind me, and the bleachers, like about five rows up, and that thing happens where everybody starts to panic and run, and they start to move out of the way all at once. 30, 40 people, and you just know it's like feels like a guy has a grenade or something, or a gun. It was most likely what you thought, and I thought that, so I just kind of got out of the way, got on my high horse, and kind of moved out of the way, because I just knew if a guy had pulled a gun where I was sitting, and if whoever he was aiming at had moved in my direction, and he had an automatic enhancement on his pistol, a switch is what they call it in the streets these days. If you had a switch on his pistol, I was getting hit, no doubt. I'm scared of shit like that. I'm scared of dying or getting injured in some type of situation that's completely unnecessary. But I'm not afraid at all of being the victim of tyranny. In fact, I would much rather be the victim of tyranny than I would die for no fucking reason. And I think people have a tough time with that. You know what I mean? I think people have a tough time.
I told you I had this massive panic attack
go ahead,
over Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
We went to a huge outside, and again, I'm not going to mention the names. Mm-hmm. The family went to a huge outside light display. It was allegedly a Christmas display. Actually, when I got there, it was rather pagan. There was really no Christmas images.
What do you mean?
Well, they didn't have a Christmas tree.
There was no nativity, no Christ, no Bethlehem.
It was very non-sectarian. It was very non-religious. Okay. It was just a bunch of lights, and you walk around these lights, and your brain gets altered because there's sound and there's lights. And I was walking along, and it was very family. I was there with my family, and I was thinking, wow, this is a great family moment. And I was really enjoying family. Mm-hmm. And then I looked around, and there was like 4,000 or 5,000 people in one little area. And what ran through my mind was, oh, this is a terrorist haven right here.
Yeah.
If you were going to ruin Christmas for the United States of America, one suicide bomber could have killed 800-900 people. And I had a panic attack, and I thought that exact same thing. I don't mind dying for
a cause.
A cause, but
freedom,
just to be out here walking around in some lights and getting killed, that's just dumb.
Yeah, like this is really an Apple use of my time, and I say that again because I'm seeing it. I've used my Instagram, and we're gonna talk about the military. We're having a ball here. Hey guys, if we're not getting to the subject matter quick enough for you, my apologies.
Was there some commentary on that?
No, I just see it on my show sometimes. Your lead-ins are take too long. No, you just want to watch fucking. You are a cuck for Mark Zuckerberg. You don't even realize it. You want your content. You want your meat right up front. You don't want to sit. You know, and the
We
one
don't
thing I
even
like,
know. We don't even know what we're going to talk about.
we don't even. We're just talking. But the one thing I love about Europe, and there's very few things I love about Europe, and I want to say as a preface to this comment, we are not Europeans, and we should look to not follow in the Europeans' footsteps so far as we possibly can in every way. But the one thing that I appreciate about the European culture, specifically Italy, is when they sit down to have a meal, they sit down to have a fucking meal. I mean, there isn't even fast food in Italy like that. I mean, there is. Now there is. But if you're going to sit and eat in Italian custom, you sit down to eat, right? And you eat. I mean, lunch there is what, 3 hours every day? Then, you know, some people will criticize that and say, oh, the Italians, they don't work hard enough. That's why their economy goes up and down or whatever. But you know, neither here nor there. Point is, we're so impatient. I mean, the impatience is baked right into our inability to think about things clearly. Like you were saying earlier, the fear just adds to it. But before we even get to the fear part, the fear porn, we have all but abnegated patience as a part of our intellectual culture, practice. Intellectually, we're impatient. And I know we're going to talk about Stu Peters and the Nick Fuentes thing. I know you've been watching Stu Peters lately, and he actually invited me to come on his program about a month back, and I told him I would. I'm not shied away from any conversation about anything, but Alex and I talked about it as well, and Stu was on Alex, and me and Alex had the interview, and we talked about this a little bit, but I wanted to get your insights on some of it as well. But you know, my point is, we're so damn impatient. We're so damn impatient. So, what I was going to say about um, the European culture is, it's valuable just to sit down for a moment and, you know, let things progress, right? I mean, yes, we're in a crisis. Yes, things are dire. But it's just like in sports. It's just like in anything. You have to be able to slow your thinking down in the chaos. You have to be able to become laser focused in the chaos. You don't ramp your emotion up to this erratic, manic state to match the chaos, because then you become a kamikaze. You become a suicide bomber of a different variety.
One of the greatest things about podcasting is feeling the responsibility of preparing meaningful information for consumers of that information. Requires some thinking. We've been working on intellectual ideas since the first phone call we ever had.
Yeah.
And it just develops over time. That's what the community is about. We're uptaking information from the community. I know you are. I know I am. People put comments in. They're part of the community. And I'm sure there's people who see their ideas get recycled back into the community, and they know it came from them. That is the coolest part about being in this role, is getting to receive all this information and taking the time to go through each comment and to answer each comment. Of course, it's easier for me than it is for you, but I'm trying to keep up with it the best I can. We care about these people.
Yeah.
We want the people in a movement that is politically potent. That's why we're doing this.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, more and more I'm discouraged. Yeah, I'm discouraged, but I'm encouraged at the same time.
What's discouraging you?
I was encouraged when we launched the campaign last week. That was fun.
Yeah.
I thought the launch video turned out great. I thought it conveyed all of the important points that we want to emphasize for my campaign, but the America First movement in general. If you haven't gotten a chance to see it, it's pinned on my Twitter and Getter and Truth Social as well. Also on the YouTube channel, you can find it. It's out there. So I'm encouraged, you know, and I do enjoy seeing a lot of the feedback that when you talk about real issues like that, it resonates with people. Because even within our movement, there's a fear porn version that you could do with some success. And I don't think that the launch video did that. We talked about things at a broad enough level, but tied them in together to help people understand what the real dangers are. But I'm also discouraged Because more and more, I mean, I'm on the internet and there's this one particular corner of the internet that I found that just reeks of nihilism. I mean, it just shouts nihilism, really does. And it's the high risk because we're talking about people being afraid to die. And in some sense, people are afraid to die, but in some sense, people seem to have this impulse to want to expedite their death as well, right?
Yeah, you've been talking about that little
Yeah,
that corner.
but I see, and I don't say it just as an aside. I see it integrated like all the way from the top down. If you look at what our political elites are trying to promulgate on the world stage, with with pushing us into war, conflict, crisis, I see that in this little corner of the internet at the community level, at the everyday level, and it's these guys who free climb the side of a building. 150-story building. I saw it the other day. A guy was climbing. He was up there, probably, I don't know, must have been 70 floors up, right? Maybe he was only 30 floors up at the time.
It was good enough.
You're definitely good enough to splatter all across the pavement below. Good enough to fall below and hit somebody walking on the sidewalk and kill him for sure. And this particular guy, the fire department and the police had come and they had been yelling from below. You know, stop what you're doing. We're going to come help you. We're going to come get you. We need you to. And he was yelling, no, I'm a professional climber. I know what I'm doing. I'm a professional climber. And they were telling him, no, for us.
You're a trespasser.
Well, no, for us, you're a tragedy waiting to happen. And we're going to have to come pick your fucking skeleton up off the sidewalk, motherfucker. So this might be fun for you. This might be a passion or a hobby or whatever for you, but we're going to have to come clean it up. And so we're coming to get you now. And he was making the case on the video, and the whole premise of the video was kind of like, no, they don't realize I'm a professional climber. If they do what they're saying, I could fall. Like, because I guess they were going to try and come get him from above.
Don't break my concentration.
Don't break my concentration. That was the point of the video. And I couldn't help but think to myself, who the fuck is this jerk off and who raised this generation? Who are these people? I mean, how did you arrive there? And what made it even more crazy, because I'm seeing these all over the place, this particular guy says that he's climbing buildings to spread the gospel of Christ.
Oh, that's nice. That's great.
And this is a real corner of the internet. And I post them every day, and people message me, and they're like, can you stop posting these? They're like, they bother me. They make me feel queasy, nervous. And I met every last one of my messages. This is the reality. You people, increasingly, you want to try and dance around, skate around, talk around the reality. Every time I find an extreme dose of the reality, that's what I want to show people. That's what I want to tell people about. There are people who are so nihilistic about their life that they find it necessary to climb up to very high places with no harness and risk death for I don't know what, views, likes, just to show other people that they don't give a fuck about their life. They want to broadcast that they don't care about their life. So it maps onto what you're saying about the Christmas place you went to, because when I see that, I start to think I'm not going to public places at all that are unnecessary. Because why?
I feel that way about airports now.
Who was the one who's been saying that the airports are fucking retarded? I haven't liked to fly the whole time. They make fun of me for it. I'm like, are you people dumb? The airport is a fucking nightmare.
It's funny. It's funny because it'd be nice to have a really convenient psychological diagnosis. For example, the military-industrial complex is playing with everybody's life, and they're ramping it up everywhere all the time now.
Right.
Could it be that this nihilist is actually reflecting the tenuousness that we all have over the maintenance of our own lives, because there are powers greater than us that can destroy everything, and he's actually asserting some control over that wild.
Yeah, but yes.
I'm just saying.
No, that is what they're doing. I understand the psychological root of it.
I mean, that's kind of
They
like
want to they want to take back some dominance in a society where they feel no sense of self-governance. For them,
yes,
that's a
maybe
sense of self-governance.
that could be a very good
Yes,
diagnosis.
absolutely. But that is not the right response to tyranny. That is not the right response to totalitarianism. The right response isn't to become a kamikaze.
I have an idea what the right response is. Are you ready?
Join the precinct strategy.
PrecinctStrategy.com.
Yeah, that'd be right.
That'd be right.
Yeah.
Dan Schultz continues to say that you're the only candidate who is consistently supporting action in the public.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the kind of action that has a result. And we're still struggling to develop a cohort of people that are willing to get involved at that level. That makes me depressed.
I'm not even depressed about it. I mean, I'm just discouraged by it, And on a daily look, I said on my podcast, I've come to grips with this long ago. This shit ain't for anybody else. This shit is for my own salvation. That's it. And you got to come to that place. You came
but
in
if
alone.
everybody did that, they'd all understand the power of the giving over and giving up narcissism
True.
and nihilism.
True.
And giving over to doing something for the United States of America and for God and
Absolutely.
for family.
They should do it.
Because that is a very healing kind of, from just a functional thing about doing things for ourselves. Because I agree with you, I'm doing it for myself too.
Yeah.
But you only discover that when you get the benefits of doing it. There's a tangible psychological and physical benefit from giving up narcissism and self-absorption and starting to live your life for Christ. It's a very powerful, health-inducing kind of a decision. So if we could, when you say, well, depressed, not right, but discouraged, I'm thinking, where's the millions of people that just want to jump up and take care of themselves?
Selfishly.
Just selfishly, yes, I have sin. I'm going to wash my sins here down by the river.
Not
Take
even
me
that.
to the river. Take me to the river.
Not even that. Just selfishly, I want to have a life that's more decent, more happy, more better well-being,
more financially, blessed.
Yeah.
This is another thing.
The hatred and self-loathing is becoming very apparent, and that's discouraging.
It is,
because you would think as a person who's running for political office, we always say that we represent the people. But, I mean, your representation really can only be as good as the people wish to be represented, right? And
that's kind of a problem, isn't it?
That's a big problem.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like we tell, young athletes. It's like you would tell your child, I could want it for you, but I can't want it more than you want it for you. It'll never work. You will never be able to generate the type of commitment and discipline you need to excel and get to that level of greatness. And even more so, you won't even like it. So it won't be fruitful and beneficial in the long run anyway. Because if I have to force you to do it, then you don't really want to do it. That's why God gave man free will. If you have to force me to love you, it's not really worth much, right?
So people have to get on that track and start working through it is a relatively long process. It's not like you show up overnight and you go, oh, I'm giving up everything and I'm picking up my cross and I'm going to do the Lord's work. It doesn't work like that. It's a psychological process that takes time. One of the first things.
Yeah, but wait, can we get clear about this though? It's not even that it's not even that they're not willing to pick up the cross and do the Lord's work. They're doing anti-Lord work. And you got to be very clear about that. There's a lot of neutral people out there. There's a lot of folks that got a lot of problems still, a lot of sin, a lot of things that they haven't ironed out in their life. That's different than being a Satanist. That's different than climbing to the top of a telephone tower with no harness. That's different than getting a gun and going to shoot up a bunch of people. That's different than, convincing all women that abortion is their sole source of political relevance. These things are not middle of the road. They're not neutral. And that's what I'm saying. Increasingly, then people aren't neutral. I mean, people have always had problems. Everybody has problems. That's baked into the cake. You're going to have problems. We're getting way off into left field now. I mean, this shit is getting way out of control. No better example than Houthi and the Blowfish, the new holy war.
The escalation.
What do you think? You've been paying attention over the last week? I honestly haven't. I knew exactly where we were going. I know exactly where we're going. I knew where we were going. I said it when Israel and Palestine first went to war. They would use it as justification to spread the footprint of this issue, and you were going to see people throw down on all sides. And to be honest, yeah, Iran's probably going to get cut out. The Palestinians are going to get cut out. But that doesn't mean that we're cutting them out for righteous motive. That doesn't mean that they shouldn't get cut out. That doesn't mean they don't deserve to get cut out. What it means is when I go to cut somebody out, when we go to adjudicate punishment against somebody, if it's not righteous, it ends up ricocheting and hurting me as well. And that's what we've seen with it. Did Saddam deserve to die? I mean, by many people's standards, yeah. Of course, you could say that. Nobody's innocent. If you believe in God, certainly if you're Muslim, Christian, or Jewish, nobody's innocent, really. So, yeah, you can make the same claim for Gaddafi. But did we kill them for a righteous reason? They could tell you that shit on MSNBC or Fox, and they will tell you that on both. But we all know the better now. Hopefully we do. We got our ass handed to us, and we got our ass taken from us, hand over fist. But you've been watching closely. What do you think about what's breaking out?
Well, the Israelis assassinated an Iranian general over this past weekend, and the Iranians are vowing for blood revenge. There's an ongoing series of attacks in the Red Sea where the Houthis are attacking all the commercial shipping that's in there. And I got thinking about this, because we have these navies. We have a 355 ship navy, and it gets about $400 billion a year of funding. It's a big deal. It's a big deal. I got thinking about, okay, so now our Navy is going to defend trade. So who are we defending in the Persian Gulf? We're defending the Chinese. I mean, that's who's getting the benefit because a third of the world's oil supply comes out through the Straits of Hormuz, which is different than the Red Sea. These are called choke points. They're maritime choke points. I had a revelation. We're there to defend trade. No, we're not. We're there to shut it off anytime we want to. This whole Belt and Road Initiative has been the Chinese struggling to overcome this tremendous Anglo-American maritime advantage that goes back to the British Empire. They said, oh, we can't catch up with this anytime soon. We're going to go overland. We're going to create infrastructure. And when the Nord Stream 2 pipeline got blown up, everybody got a real good lesson in infrastructure. That would be called here today and gone tomorrow. Like little bunny foo-foo. You spent all this money on this, a well-placed depth charge, and we're starting over. The seas remain the safest way to transport energy and finished goods. And if you sink one ship, you sunk one ship. There's tens of thousands of more ships out there. So it just dawned on me that the Chinese are utterly and totally dependent on Middle East oil. They don't have any way to get it there that's safe because if they build pipelines, they're easy to blow up. And their energy supplies are coming out of that region, and we're defending the trade. So there's a certain level of intimidation that's going on here. We can stop.
Between who and who?
The Anglo-American cartel, the globalists, push to the wall. The United States of America, we the people. In a throwdown with the Chinese, we can cut their petroleum off. And we just had this great thing where, do you see that thing where Donald Trump said they were baiting him, he's going to be a dictator. There's all this thing. He's going to be a dictator. He's going to do all these terrible things. And he said, I'm not going to be a dictator except on day one. I'm closing the border and drill, baby, drill. And he's got it all figured out. I mean, it's really just that simple. It's like we came up with the perfect diagnosis. When I say we, it wasn't just you and me, but we're kind of out on the front edge. I mean, you, sir, have been very much on the front edge of diagnosing the post-World War II Democrat liberal order and distilling it down to 3 simple ideas that they use to sell their ideology. And they sell it right here in Senate District 45, and they sell it at the World Economic Forum. It's the same 3 ideas.
Mm-hmm.
But now we've come up with 3, and we struggled with it. We said, we got to come up with counter ideas. No, they don't have to be counter ideas.
Social equity.
Well, that's theirs. The social equity,
equity, climate, democracy.
Okay, now we have our 3.
The border, the debt, the military-industrial complex.
And if you want to make your life better, if you believe your life is better, being poor for the planet and being poor to right the wrongs of the colonial past, if you think that's who you want to be,
then vote for Nikki Haley.
That's correct. Or Joe Biden.
No, I mean, but let's just put the fish right out in front of our own boat here.
Let's fry that fish, right?
Yeah. Vote for Nikki Haley if that's what you want.
A vote for Nikki Haley is a vote for poverty, because nothing makes us more poor than a forever war.
Mm-hmm.
We've been getting drained since about 2000 and Bush.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you take a look back to 2001 when Bush came over, we had it was like $3 trillion a day. We had very little national debt, and still people were screaming about it because they knew once the camel got its nose underneath the tent, voila, $35 trillion later, here we go. And, life's still going around. And I'm watching these people on MSNBC. The economy's doing so good. I was watching an economist. I give Joe Biden an A. Oh, really? Come on. We got to pay for this, or we're going to have to work out who's going to pay for it.
No, we don't have to pay for it.
Proceed.
Yeah, the whole thing is that.
Can you put a little bit more in there for me? I don't want it to run dry.
We don't have to slide it over a little bit more. Yeah, we don't have to pay for it. We're going to go to war and kill when the bill comes due.
Oh.
And that's going to pay for it. That's the whole point. That's the whole point of a military-industrial complex-based society.
It's called a do-over.
When the bill comes due, somebody's getting clipped. And that's what's happening right now. Partially, that's what's happening right now. They can make it seem like it's about culture and religion, and I'm not buying it. I mean, you could run that bullshit on,
About the money.
I saw this kid, and we should talk about this. I want to talk about Stu Peters, but can we talk about the fact that the woke left has an archetype. It has a face. It has a sound. It has a style, right? The woke left. But the woke right is so often forgotten. The woke right is just as insufferable as the woke left. And I'm sitting here this weekend, and I don't follow anybody on social media for a reason, because I'm just not that interested in what other people have to say. Honestly, if I want to talk to Alex, I'll call Alex. If I want to talk to Steve, I'll talk to Steve back when I was talking with Jason. If I want to talk to Jason, I'll call Jason and ask him what he's fucking thinking, or I'll watch his show. I don't need to follow you on social media, because I don't want to be in the habit of following anybody. It's just my personal, thing. So what I realize is, like, when I'm on my home feed now, X is giving me all these people that they think that I would want to be following, because they're suggesting that I follow somebody, right? Like, maybe you'd like to follow this person. And I came across this black kid. I think his name is Xavier Dubrasso or something, like some French name. I don't know. He had some French last name. Anyway, I think he's on Fox a lot. I saw he took a picture. He was at Turning Point. And his tweet were from what looked like the tunnels of Gaza. And I'm sorry. Let me get the name right. Xavier DeRusso.
Oh, yeah, I've seen that guy.
Yeah. Ex-BLM activist, PragerU personality, of course. And his tweet was, let me get this for you. I am not Jewish. I am not Israeli. I am black. I am Christian. I am American. Most of all, I'm a person with a heart for humanity and truth, big truth, capitals. And that is why I unapologetically stand with Israel. And this is the picture. I think those are the tunnels in Gaza,
Mm-hmm.
if I'm not mistaken, unless there are tunnels like that in Israel too. Are there?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Well, there he's in Gaza. And I just want you to hear how this guy talks, just so that we're on the same accord about this, because I may start to talk about the person in an ad hominem way, and people be like, "What justification do you have to talk that way?" It's not even about what he's saying; it's about how he's saying it. It's about the tone. I'm from St. Paul. You're from St. Paul. Two totally different eras. Do we follow guys like that?
No.
Do guys like that even get to talk
In
at the
my
table?
in my era, a guy like that wouldn't make it home from school. It was just the way it was.
And not because he's black.
No.
And not because he's conservative or Republican. And certainly not because he stands with Israel. The way he's talking, he's not making it home because he doesn't sound like a man.
He's goofy.
He's goofy.
Right.
And is it by accident that PragerU or that Fox News or that the what I call the woke right that is deeply tied to this idea about, this allegiance to Israel? I mean, how do we, if we're going to talk about, and let's talk about the Stu Peters Israel Jewish thing. Because Alex and I have already done well, I think, to carve out the right, the most proper position as American citizens, America Firsters, MAGAs. We know our three issues. Our three issues are the debt, the border, the forever wars. You can get us tied up in culture all you want to, and the culture war is a real thing, and there are culture wars, and there are religious wars, and there are different ideologies, but these three things,
Get it right or don't be around.
these three things are what will allow your political and financial
to have
elites
to have a future.
to cover and Trojan horse their way into these other culture wars. They lay the groundwork, right? And we saw that with the budget, the military budget, right? They smuggled in transgender surgeries that you have to pay for now for servicemen and women. Now the government's going to pay for you to have
And our Republican Congress was all good with it.
And the Republican House was all good with
All
it, weren't
good.
they? Yeah.
All good.
And a lot of them drink from the same teat.
$883 billion.
But is it by accident? I mean, how can we? I mean, when are we going to grow the fuck up as the conservative movement? When are we going to grow the fuck up? Let me backtrack. The highest organizing principle for Christians is faith. It's Christ. The highest organizing principle for American citizens is American citizenship. It's very simple. Not hard, not difficult, not nuanced, not complex. However, if we're going to talk about the Jewish lobby, what you and I talked about on day one, you do see a couple of issues, a couple of recurring kind of sentiments that pop up where the Jewish lobby, so to speak, has a lot of power and influence. And on the left, it's what we've talked about. It's coming out of WEF. It's coming. But the right is where we seem to pretend like that influence isn't real. It hasn't really took root yet. We don't really see the Xavier DeRussos as a product of the same sort of uniparty theater around an issue like Israel as we see McConnell and Biden as two sides of the same coin. And so I understand the criticism of the Jewish lobby and things like an issue like Israel, because you start to see where people tilt the same way no matter what they say they're really about, right? And they even do it with the same fucking tone. and not only the tone of their voice, but the construction of their sentences. Right? I stand with Israel. I didn't need to fucking say I stand with Israel. I mean, no, everybody has the right to defend themselves. That goes without saying. People fight wars, and those who win wars, they often win the spoils of wars. That goes without saying. If you say death to Israel and you really mean death to America by any stretch of the imagination, then we got a problem. Exactly like I said with Alex. But what I'm not going to do is I'm not going to go out and make some public statement that sounds like you're not a former BLM activist. You're a current BLM activist. I mean, people forget that, remember, the criticism of Kanye West came from the left, right? The woke left went after Kanye West. Now, there were those on the right, too, who are all pro-Israel and, that cohort. But a good majority of it came from the left.
The criticism of his alleged anti-Semitism.
Yes, absolutely.
Which, by the way, today he reversed. Did you see that?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, he just came out today with a tweet in Hebrew. I read it on Stu Peters' feed. The plot thickens. Gets deeper all the time.
What was it? What was his
He was apologizing. Well, I haven't delved into it, but I think he was apologizing for certain positions he'd taken in the past.
Oh, great. Way to go, Kanye.
So we can't even tell who the hell these people are anymore.
Which I said originally. I said, who is Kanye West? I remember that clip go viral. Who is Kanye West? Who is Kim Kardashian? Who is Milo? Who is Nick Fuentes?
Yeah, who are these people? Who's Stu Peters?
Who's Stu Peters?
Who are these people?
Who are these people? And what's their why is their conversation so disanchored from just reason? And part of me feels bad. Part of me understands that the society we live in is like for example, you and I. There is a way we could go about podcasting that would surely generate more interest a lot quicker. We could be salacious, we could be theatrical, we could name drop, we could try and incite, and I don't say incite like violently, but we could try and invoke certain cultural, emotional divisions in order to draw audiences from one side or the other. We don't really do that. But these people may have the thought process that they need to take these extreme positions in order to generate the type of momentum of being relevant in the media content space. Surely it benefits Kanye. And I think Kanye even carries a kind of smirk about doing it, about playing people. I mean, he had a viral clip where he said effectively that he made Adidas drop him, or there was some business deal that had taken place, and there was some outcome of a business deal that was favorable for him because of the stuff that he said publicly. So, I understand that we live in a world where it's hard to break through the huge wall of content and the short attention span. But what about sacred honor? I mean, it's like I told Jason about him and his audience. If your audience is your life, if your audience is your wife, which is as blasphemous as you could possibly imagine, but I mean, casually, I understand what he was saying. But if your audience is your wife and you cater to whatever your audience wants, whatever you think your audience wants, then your bitch is running your life.
Sounds like democracy.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
Just because we vote for it does not mean
it's a good thing.
Right. In fact, we're voting for a lot of things that are actually counter to our well-being because we're buying whatever bill of goods that comes up. My problem with Stu Peters in all of the dialogue around Jewishness and Judaism and Zionism and Israel, I don't shy away from the argument or the ideas. What I don't like about Stu Peters is he has nothing else to say. I mean, if he wants to comment about Zionism or Judaism or the Khazarians, hither, there, and yon, sprinkle it in with some other original thinking.
Right.
Because people have hated Jews since Christ made corporal. There's nothing new about this. And what we need in the country particularly on this woke right side, is the coming together of a community that's not disaggregated, that's not divided. We need people that come together around the concept of American citizenship.
Yes.
And anything that detracts from that is not helping. And I like your critique. It never occurred to me that people do this just as clickbait, just to get an audience.
Yeah.
And that never occurred to me. That is, when you put it within the context of sacred honor, that explains a lot to me. And I hope it explains a lot to your listeners, because I couldn't understand every fucking tweet is about how bad the Zionists and the Jews are. I mean, yes, we'll take the criticism. There's a lot of just criticism, but can we mix in some other ideas, like about Hootie and the Blowfish? I mean, let's put some other ideas in here.
Yeah.
And that's what has really made me very unhappy with. And I follow Stu Peters and I follow Nick Fuentes, and that's just what we would call one-trick ponies. And here at Free People, we're trying to investigate and explore the widest possible range of ideas. Maybe it's too ambitious. Maybe our audience is having a hard time organizing some of these ideas. But then I say to myself, I'm having a hard time organizing these ideas. Why do you get off if I don't? Because this stuff is complicated and it requires research and study. And I always say to my audience, and I'm going to say it right here to our audience, we got to figure this out on our own. Right. Even though we're, and I just want to tell everybody, you and I are just having a nice conversation. We haven't talked for a few days, been the holidays.
Yeah.
And everybody's just getting to watch us talk the way we always talk.
This is the way we always talk, Hebrew style.
Because we're interested in making progress with these ideas.
Yeah.
Because I personally believe my ass depends on making progress with these ideas. That if I don't figure this out, if I don't have an action plan, I'm really risking, and even more than my children, fighting for my children's lives. But I'm very upset with but I'm not anymore. You've given me a very plausible explanation. These people are just trying to make money. Maybe all anti-Semitism was about that.
Well, and Alex made a very important point as well, that a lot of these people are actually feds. And, they'll say that you're fed, that you and I are feds, or that we're working for Israel or the Zionists. It's like, I mean, I've been called everything. I'm a BLM plan. Jason Whitlock said I'm a BLM plan after being on the show for 2 years straight and part of the brain trust at the highest level.
Yeah, that was
neither here nor there.
Tacky.
Goofy. It's just dishonest and goofy. But I've been called a darling of the far right. I've been called a Zionist shill, and then I've been called
anti-Semitic.
Yes, not only that, but a Muslim.
Remember how we met? Was somebody was calling you anti-Semitic, and I just had to find out for myself. Of course, we've mentioned his name many times.
Yeah, Matt Brodsky.
He said, Royce White's in the race now, but we don't have to worry because he's an anti-Semite. He is? Geez, I've been watching him on War Room.
But isn't it weird that he would say we don't have to worry because he's an anti-Semite? It's almost like he pre-assumed that anti-Semitism couldn't actually be a real physical threat to his person, his body, like a real threat to Jews in general. It was more assumed that it was a
disqualifier,
a disqualifying, a political hindrance, which is a huge issue with how the Jewish lobby has levied the Jewish identity in these political matters.
This is called the revenge of the nerds, right? Because it's not that long ago, 78 years ago, they were burning Jews in Germany, and being anti-Semitic was a winning political formula. So I think there's a great effort being made to make it into a winning political formula again. What are Jewish people going to do about this? Yeah. What are Jewish people going to do about it? And I'm going to tell all the Jewish people, there is a 100% guaranteed solution to this problem. It's called faith. That's it. If people are going about their lives seeking faith in God, the rest of it's going to take care of itself. And there are people going to say, "Oh, that's rather esoteric." Well, hey, we're getting down to the where we went wrong as a Darwinist group of our society's been penetrated. But you said if it's European, we shouldn't have anything to do with it. And this is the European political philosophy foisted on all of us here in the United States. It's, I was thinking about this. Why did this scientific thing become so powerful? It's very difficult for people to really believe. I mean, traditionally, it really requires a lot of us to have faith. So when you say you'd rather die in some kind of a, holy way or some kind of effort that would be worthwhile in your own mind, from your own perspective.
Yeah, if I could choose.
If I could choose too.
Mhm.
Well, why couldn't we all make that choice? I'm a very big believer that culture is so malleable. We're living in this kind of fixed set of cultural expectations and histories and narratives. And this thing could change in 2024 on a dime. We could be sitting here at this time next year, and the only thing that mattered in America was sacred honor. Right now, today, the only thing that matters is how much cash you're piling up in your bank.
Yeah.
And that's such a weird thing.
Or who you're having sex with, or how you identify, or, what religion or what race you are, or, just a bunch of, and to echo what you're saying, I think I've been as unabashed in my criticism of the Jewish lobby and Jewish influence as anybody. I mean, honestly, to the point where Jason Whitlock had already received certain warning from the higher ups or individuals within the Blaze company about the conversations that he and I would have regarding the Jewish topic.
But let me just say something. I listened to that.
But he actually went harder than I do.
Oh, I was just going to say that.
Which now they're trying to say he went harder than me because I'm actually in on the international Zionist conspiracy because I'm palling around with you. But what it really
wait. I'm just going to tell everybody. My whole life I've been known about this international Zionist conspiracy.
Mm-hmm.
Why do I not have a role in the? Why am I working so hard? Why am I?
You do have a role. You have the no role role.
Nobody ever walked up to me and said, "Would you like to join the international Zionist conspiracy?"
Well, look. There's two schools of thought. Some people would say, "Why even waste time talking about it?" Alex Jones made that point, and I think it's a fair point to make. There are more important things for us to talk about, and whether. And I said this. This is regardless of. Somebody messaged me and said, "Don't say irregardless anymore. It's not a word. Say whatever words the fuck I want to say first."
Vehemently.
Vehemently is a great word.
This is culture.
I know many words. They're all great words.
Where did these words come from? Somebody made them up. Somebody made these words up.
But this tells you how kind of neutered we are as a people intellectually.
Rules.
We don't even think we have the right to make our own words.
Rules.
If people understand what I mean, what does it matter? And if I can explain it, what if I want to start using my own words? That's not the same as using my own pronouns. I mean, we have to, and we can't. I digress. Anyway.
This is creativity that's being stifled.
I digress. What I want to say is, I was saying this before or regardless of talking about the international Zionist conspiracy. I was telling people in the earliest days of the podcast, stop looking for a smoking gun. You don't need a smoking gun to be offended by how our elites are trying to insult your intelligence, bastardize your citizenship, and devalue your existence. You don't need a smoking gun. I don't need to. And part of the smoking gun witch hunt is a way to distract people from taking back their citizenship through self-governance, like the precinct strategy. And honestly, if you're out there, just ask yourself, how much time you spend down the rabbit hole of making connections of Jewish power bases and influence on American or global politics instead of going in the Republican Party and standing up and saying, listen, if these are Israel influence policies, to that I say no. How many senators will stand up and filibuster? That's why I want to get in the Senate.
One.
That's why I want to get in the Senate. I can't wait to get in the Senate. I'll be filibustering every time I get the fucking chance just because we need it. Just because I don't think the other people have the physical stamina and endurance and mental toughness.
Courage.
To be able to withstand.
Courage.
Withstand the the trouble that should rightfully come with building a fucking good country. But my point is that we spend too much time on smoking gun. Alex said it great. He put it well. Is why do I care about taking a quota or a head count on which people are in charge of which aspects of this globalist agenda? I mean, why would I even waste my time with that? Because really, we don't know. We have no clue. We don't know how. We don't know if the Chinese, if the CCP is zooming the Israelis, if the American Nazis are zooming the Israelis, if the Israelis are zooming the Europeans, if the British are zooming the American. I mean, all of these people have histories of fighting before.
Hey, to quote your good friend Mr. Bannon,
yeah,
it's just the way the system works.
It's the way the system works.
Because all these people went to Columbia. They all went to Harvard and Princeton and Yale. They've all been acculturated into a bureaucratic system, which is anti-human, anti-birth, anti-child. It's just anti-everything that's Christian or Judeo-Christian, if we want to widen out the boundaries somewhat.
Yeah.
And I don't even know if, I was thinking about that over the weekend too. Here I'm a Jewish man. I'm up at a pagan holiday, but it was supposed to be a Christian thing.
Yeah.
I'm thinking to myself, is it really bad?
Hey, wait, Stu Peters go ahead, finish.
Well, I'm just going to
go ahead.
Remember Stu, because anytime we get a chance to go after
I was just
him.
going to say Stu Peters actually made a caveat for your particular faith orientation. He says the Messianic Jews are good.
Oh, that's great. There's 16 million Jews in the world. Yeah. There's 7.2 million Jews in America. Worldwide, there's 350,000 Messianic Jews, according to Wikipedia, which may not be correct. But there aren't that many of us.
And half of them would put you at the 144,000 Jews they say are going to, in Revelation, right?
We get the lift off?
Well, that's what some people interpret it as.
I don't know if we can get and I told you this on another podcast. I used to think that was an insufferably small number. Mm-hmm. No, I think it's inflated. Just looking at my own struggle with sin, hey, come on, where's this bar going to get set? Because, for me personally, I'm really working with the issue of sin in my own life.
Yeah.
This is, to reverse myself, it's such a critical year coming up. I believe, what can I do? This is what I can do. I can put sin down in my own life and within my own consciousness, put the seal back on those 7 seals. The ones that I'm attracted to, hey, fuck off. I want to go on record as saying I'm going to die trying to put this under management because this is what God's asking me to do. And if every American citizen would recognize that they have an addiction to sin, and we're the ones letting this horror into the world, that, and I don't know if this is true. It's like Dan saying, I'm not sure we can save the Republic by getting the Republican Party right.
But if we don't, I know for sure we won't.
Well, I'm not sure we're going to save the Republic or the world by putting sin underfoot.
Yeah.
But if we don't, we're screwed for sure. I think you start out by saying these girls are going on OnlyFans and picking up all this cash for what? Showing their feet? People lost their minds.
Showing their feet. I mean, there's a real foot fetish happening. And, I don't particularly bring strong condemnation for people's sexual exploits. It's just not my line of
picadillos.
It's not my line of country. I mean, it's just as unimportant to me as finding the smoking gun of secret societies and international fraternities, because it's not something that you can easily measure, easy enough to build any real worldview or any actionable plan around. It's so abstract that there's nothing to it. I mean, where do I even begin? What everybody's doing in their home I mean, I don't even, who knows? I don't know what people
Who even wants to know?
I know that the internet is 50% pornography, and I know that OnlyFans is in some crazy stretch of the imagination where your average American family can't put together $500 cash in a crisis has young women not needing to work at all. Not only not needing to work, but being in the upper class of America's economy.
And then I'm getting all these
$100,000 a month. I mean, are you kidding me?
Friends of ours are telling me Pornhub. All of a sudden, I know it. It's owned by a rabbi. Did you see those memes going by that it's owned by a rabbi?
No, I didn't see that, but it wouldn't shock me.
Pornhub, allegedly, I didn't verify this, is owned by a rabbi. And let me tell all the people that are sending it out, Stu, he's not a rabbi. Rabbis don't do such things. I'm just telling you.
Yeah.
I don't know who these people think a rabbi is, but Jesus was a rabbi. So if you're going to think Jesus Christ is going to own Pornhub, that's not the way things are going to happen. So,
well, they're so selective, right? It's like, well, we're gonna stick with the fact that he calls himself a rabbi in this situation, but in another situation, we're totally fine saying you're just because you say you're a thing doesn't mean you are.
My father
you can be a fraud.
My father went to rabbinical school and ended up a secular humanist. This is not. It's not relevant.
Their argument is that sexual perversion, and look, there is some merit to it. When you dig into first of all, let's go on the record and say the rise of gay marriage. This was our defunct contributor on War Room. What was his name? What was that kid?
We talking about Jack?
No, not Jack. No, who? Posobiec? Jack?
No, Jack Maxey.
Oh, Maxey. Oh no, not Maxey. What was my guy's name? Oh. Anyway, he was a Jewish guy.
Oh, you're talking about Boris?
No, not Boris. No, not Boris. He's still around. Jewish guy, Tierman.
Oh,
Matthew
okay.
Tierman.
Yeah.
Okay, Matthew Tierman was called an anti-Semite by Tikkun magazine, right?
Tikkun magazine.
Yeah,
you can't get any farther left than Tikkun.
He either was called an anti-Semite or he was called an anti-Semite by an American publication for something he said about Tikkun magazine or something in the nation. Anyway, the point is that Amy, I forgot her name, Amy something or another, she was quoted in Tikkun magazine for saying that the Jewish lobby, that the Jewish lobby, or she really was more crass than that. She just said the Jews are responsible for the improvements or the advancement of gay marriage. Which, if you look at it from a broader societal standpoint, 1 second, little Royce, put those headphones in and go out in the hallway.
Family and friends.
Family and friends, yeah. The little one is in the building today, listening to Professor Penn and the Hatchet Man. He just came from working out, so he's good. He's just chilling and sleeping. He's got Christmas break. Remember Christmas break?
Yes, I do fondly.
Yeah. But anyway, when if you look at her saying that the Jews are responsible for the rise of gay marriage or the advancements of the LGBTQ movement, there is a sexual perversion that has spilled out or grown out of that movement that the Jewish lobby has not done well to really denounce, right? I mean, it's not like the Jews who have been huge advocates for gay marriage or LGBTQ rights have said, hey, but we want to make a hard line with young people and satanic sort of LGBTQ rituals, right? I mean, there hasn't been that distinction made. And it's the same way with the Vatican. I mean, the Vatican has to make those kind of distinctions, even if they're going to take the soft approach and, hey, we just want everybody to be able to not be persecuted and executed through the name of Christ or through the name of Judaism or through American citizenship. We're trying to create a more fair playing field. Why is it that we on the right in the conservative movement have to always delineate ourselves from the more extreme versions of whatever political ideology is out there? But when it comes to certain people, It's just kind of a given. It's assumed that's it's coming from a neutral place. That doesn't seem neutral to me. If you're admitting or if you're claiming the rise of gay marriage or the advancements of the LGBTQ movement as a whole, if you don't make those distinctions and draw those hard lines between that and the sexual perversion that's grown out of it, we could look at the results and infer the motive. And
That's a very good distinction to draw. The rights of American citizens
mhm.
and the ability of American citizens to fly right up their own assholes. Right? You know, this is that concept of sin, that the need that I have. I'm not saying any individual viewer has to do this. It's up to y'all.
Mhm.
But for me, I feel a great need, a pressure at this time in American history and in Professor Penn's history to get it together.
Yeah.
I mean, and as far as this whole thing with let's not be bandying around this term Jewish so cavalierly.
We'll talk about it. I mean,
because the Jewish people.
you always say it. Well, first I want to say, you always say these people are not Jews. So the distinction that Stu Peters and Nick Fuentes don't want to make is that just because you say you're a Jew doesn't mean you're a Jew. Just because you say you're a Christian doesn't mean you're a Christian.
Kanye went out of his way on this one. I mean, I saw him in the interview, and the guy was trying to draw out the distinction.
Mm-hmm.
There's these very religious people, and they believe in God. And there's this whole other group, I call them the anti-Jews. I mean, he laid out the whole case for him. Kanye said, "Nah, I don't care. They're all the same to me."
When was this? This was on Alex?
No, this was on another interview.
Okay.
You can see it on X. I'll send it to you. Yeah. The point is,
somebody made the case that there are religious Jews,
there's distinctions,
and secular Jews,
and Kanye didn't care. That's anti-Semitism.
Yeah, that's silly.
Well, it is silly until people start getting rounded up. Then it's genocidal, and
Sure.
Then you get these anti-Jews rolling in with the Jews getting cover. I mean, the thing has to really be parsed out quite. Going back to your comment about having a good meal in Italy, this stuff takes time. You can't make a fast judgment. And I've said to you about the Jewish people, I mean, I'm a stern critic of my own people.
Yeah.
Stern.
As am I.
Stern.
My own people being black people.
Catholic people.
Catholics as
well. I mean, the church is like,
Yeah.
woo.
And the Norwegians as well. And hey, what's wrong with Mexico is...
The problem with Mexico is the Mexicans.
The Mexicans, that's right.
That's correct.
The Mexicans are my people, but hey, it is what it is.
We love the earth so much we hate people, which is the default on the whole thing.
Right.
We hate ourselves. And this is not what God wants us to do. God wants us to love ourselves so we can love Him. Come on. We got to wake up. We were not born hating ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody helped us hate ourselves.
Yeah.
And if we're doing things that are not good for our well-being, we're going to end up hating ourselves. We have to find, this is why I said the entire political philosophy.
The problem with it is we could talk as rational as we want to. And I think a lot of people in the audience are rational. I seem to see that the War Room audience, as well as many from within the InfoWars and Alex Jones audience, at least the ones that reach out.
The thinking audience.
It's a thinking audience, and they're not so easily distracted and exploited by these types of fear porn politics.
God, I got to say, just hold that thought.
Yeah.
I have to say something.
Okay.
You have alleviated a great stress I've had on myself. Why are these people so viciously anti-Semitic? Follow the money.
It pays.
Oh, it's just great.
It pays. It pays the same as the International Zionist Conspiracy.
I'm going to go home feeling much better tonight. You've given me an explanation, because the only other reason would be Jews suck, and they they don't all suck.
No, well, let's say this: you and I have said on this show that from a spiritual standpoint, we're talking spiritually. If you're a Christian, it's easy to see how people would start to clump all the Jews in together. It's how it's been, like you said, since Christ.
Deicide. Because,
as you so aptly put on your show before, on the left, the Jews, the liberal Jews, the leftist Jews, the more liberal Jews, the secular Jews, they deny Abraham or Moses. And on the right, the Jews, the religious Jews, the Orthodox Jews, they deny Christ. So in both directions, there's a sort of denial and rejection of God.
How many Spartans were there? 300?
Yeah.
There's 350,000. That's all we
Jews.
fucking need.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
You know.
But my point in saying it is, even if you wanted to say, even if you're Kanye and you want to say, hey, the Orthodox Jews, you know, and look, there's a lot of footage popping up from Israel that people shouldn't be afraid to address. It's like, you know, the Jews, some of the religious Jews in Israel. Spitting on Christians.
Crazy.
Talking down to Christians, saying, you know.
And proselytizing Israel.
You know, all kinds of shit, you know, that I don't know how on earth all of these, you know, right-wing conservative evangelical Christians have gotten cuckolded. There I go again, making up words.
That's a good one, though.
Lean this way
I like that word.
Lean this way a little
Cuckolded.
bit. Yeah, get cuckolded. I don't know how they going all cuck for Israel when, you know, especially on a religious basis, when there's so much animosity for Christians in the streets on Israel. If by video,
that's fear.
Evidence.
That would be fear.
Well, yeah,
that's fear.
But even still, and I said this on Alex, and I think this gets to the heart of it, because anybody who has this just, you know, this animus for the Jews is like, to me, you just look like you look corny anyway. You know, you just look like you want a scapegoat. You want something to cling on to so you don't have to be
in
a
the
leader.
precinct strategy.
So you don't have to be an American.
Right.
So you don't have to be an American citizen.
That's right.
Right. But if you're going to talk about it from an intellectual standpoint, it's like, even if you want to say there's an international Zionist conspiracy, which there is. I mean, it's not. You can't say there's not. Zionism is a real ideology.
They won. They got a country.
They definitely got a.
No, they got a country.
Yes.
They have complete and unwavering support of our entire political
absolutely
class.
Big guns behind them for
sure.
Oh
my goodness gracious!
And we're willing to go to world war over it. So I guess you could say they won. But my point is, yes, there's an international Zionist conspiracy. There is Zionism. There are a lot of other ideologies out there as well. And when you try and boil all of the perverted ideologies of the world back down to Zionism, I think you're jerk off. You know, it's like saying all of the Catholics, or all of the ills in Christianity boil back down to the Catholic Church or the Jesuits. You know, I don't like the Jesuits either. I mean, I really have as a Catholic, I have a special sort of
good for you, young man,
disdain for the Jesuits.
Good for you.
But I'm still not going to let anybody boil down all of the Christian ills to the Jesuits. There are people who don't know a single thing about Jesuits who have constructed and manifested their own level of chaos and narcissism and evil, completely separate. But let's accept that there's a Zionist conspiracy. It's not really a conspiracy. Zionism exists. Let's say that Zionism has spread its influence across the world. None of it could have been done without the consent of the people who participated. All of the criticisms of the Jews, or most of the criticism of the Jews, have to do with media influence, financial influence, political influence. All of those industries, all of those domains of our society require the participation of other people. So, for the Nick Fuentes and Stu Peters types, I mean, you want to act like white men or white people or whites. Not, I heard, Nick Fuentes was talking about whites and non-whites, which is just a crazy categorization in my mind. I don't even know what he means. I know what he thinks he means by it. And I know what he wants his viewers to think that he means by it. But when you really get down into the weeds on it, it's not a real thing whatsoever.
Let's 23andMe him and see what's going on there.
Yeah, we should.
26% of them.
Well, wait. They say 23andMe is an Israeli think tank.
I thought it was a Chinese deal.
I don't know. Maybe
it morphed now. It's Chinese.
Yeah.
Back to the conspiracy.
Back to the conspiracy.
I keep waiting for someone to come up to me and go, Professor Penn, we have a spot for you.
HEBROES, ladies and gentlemen, we talk about this shit all the time.
I mean, come on.
But the right way. My point again was, they want to make it seem like white men are the victims of Let's go all the way back to Europe. If you want to bring the Rothschilds into it, fine. The Rothschilds existed. They helped start central banking throughout Europe. The story is well documented.
There was great demand for their services.
This isn't a conspiracy theory, though.
Yeah.
The fractional reserve banking, Federal Reserves, the Rothschilds, the banking thing, that's history, documented history.
Not conspiracy theory.
But they wouldn't have been able to do it unless there was some European buy-in.
That's right.
Okay, so you can't really, and this is what makes the idea of Christianity and the concept of sin so profound is it's you.
That's what I've been saying the whole podcast.
Don't he who cast the first stone without sin. Nick, Stu.
Go work on your own shit, would you please? I would think that's called, it's greed. I mean, if your theory of the case is correct, that they're doing this to build an audience so they can sell things and make money, oh, that's really people's lives.
No, I don't think it. I don't even know if they're doing it consciously. I know how the spirit.
Well, you better be conscious if you have an audience of hundreds of thousands of people.
I know how the spirit of our society works, and I know how influence, and I know how subconscious impulse works, and the reward mechanisms that come through making content and virality reward people talking about the Jews. It just does. It's I can see it. No, I'm not saying it's conjecture. And I'm not shying away from saying that. Look, there's some evil people that claim to be Jewish, just like there's some evil people that claim to be Christian, just like there's some evil people that claim to be Muslim. There are some evil people that claim to be American. There's some evil people that claim to be Chinese. There's some evil people that claim to be Russian. There's enough to go around. And there's no shortage. Let's be clear about that. We're way on this side of the line of scrimmage when it comes to the skew. There's a lot of people of any certain group or demographic they claim to be that are much less than what they aspire to be in that group. But I can see now with my own eyes the amount of emphasis placed on talking about Jews on the right side of the American political spectrum. I can see it. And then my only question now is, I don't know how many people out there in the world are actually think this way. Are they bots? Are they feds?
Can't wait to watch the live chat tonight because,
you're going to see it.
Oh, I'm going to see it.
You're going to see it.
I know it.
Now, I know most of them I would assume are real people but my point is across the entire and I'm not one of these. And what's crazy about it is they clump me in with these people.
Me too.
For saying, this is what's crazy about it.
Yeah, I mean, me too.
Me, Bannon, Donald Trump, Professor Penn.
I'm thinking to myself,
we get clumped in.
What's wrong with you people?
With the anti-Semites because we say, hey, before our support for Israel in this next chapter of conflict has to be conditional. There can be no unconditional support with our military for anybody because of the position our own country's in. Or just on general principle, as general practice, you shouldn't have unconditional military support for anybody. We should always look at the situation and deem what are the appropriate conditions upon which we provide support.
And along those lines, for all my Jewish brethren or anti-Jewish brethren, which you're not my brother if you're an anti-Jew, Israel is not about the Jewish people. It's about those maritime choke points. That's what we got to get straight here.
Wait. Say that again.
Israel was never about the Jewish people.
Buddy, you're an anti-Semite.
Great.
Right there. You can't even say that.
Fantastic. Are we going to get deplatformed for this?
That's possible.
Great. Sorry.
We should all be so lucky.
I'm just saying, when the Crown agreed to Israel, I don't care what they were.
Wait. One thing. Okay, I hear your point, but let me give you the conservative woke right counterpoint that I've encountered.
Please.
That I've run into. I hate to say a word.
Are we going to get theological now?
Encountered. I've had to make Allen. Excuse me. The woke right counterpoint that I've run into on the internet
is
that despite what the early Crown had in mind for Israel, the reason why they did it, despite Zionists and their their abnegation of God, despite any of those circumstances, God's plan for Israel is much bigger. And so he can use any means necessary to bring about his end goal. And this is the theological excuse that's used to justify any ills of Zionism and the British Empire's
This is a
business.
tautology now.
Okay.
We've entered
What do you think? What do you say?
Well, what you're saying is it could be God's will. Great. His thoughts are so high above mine, I can't even get to it. So why am I trying to put myself in God's shoes?
Well, a lot of 501c3 Christians seem to do so.
Please, go ahead. You guys are brilliant. Brilliant.
Genius.
Genius.
Next level.
Unbelievable. They can figure out God's plan. Good for you. We're going to follow you. We're going to vote for Nikki Haley along these lines.
Hey, Nikki Haley says
she must be part of God's plan.
Of course.
It's a strange definition of God now we're getting into. That's rather liberal of you.
The Nikki Haley plan. Can you for the life of you? I mean,
no, I can't.
No,
I can't.
You've seen and heard and lived through a lot. Can you even comprehend what the attraction is to Nikki Haley for Americans? First off, do you believe that she's actually up in the polls like they say? And can you comprehend why people would be attracted or gravitate towards Nikki Haley in the first place?
No and no. I do not believe the polls, and I believe she's the most repulsive candidate. Maybe some of these people are really, they're lacking in some things at home. They need a female figure. I don't get it.
Like a mother or a grandmother or a wife.
Something.
Okay.
Something.
But even if that's the case, why would Nikki Haley? She's going to float, that floats people's boat?
Because she's strong. She's very opinionated. She's very clear.
Is she though? I don't even see
That's
it.
what she portrays herself to be.
But is she? I mean, my problem with it is, listen, if we're going to be a cuck society, okay. Now I am.
Well, you get the F out of there. We're a cuck society.
No, I mean, yes, hypothetically, I'm saying theoretically speaking.
I mean, if we're going to go into the future this way.
Theoretically speaking, we 100% are a cuck society. There's no doubt about that. My point is, I 100% oppose cuckery as a general cultural practice. But if we're gonna be a cuck society, the woman we're cucking for better damn well be top tier. Okay. I understand.
Would that be Kristi Noem? They can run her out next.
Listen,
and we could
listen. I'm not signing up to cuck behind Kristi Noem, but I love her. I think she's great. If we're gonna be a cuck society, she's definitely a step in a better direction.
A step up.
Yes. And what I'm saying is, there are men who have come to a better place than they were previously through the journey with women, through a journey with women.
The pain and the heartbreak.
Yeah.
Right.
That's true. That's happened. I won't say cuckery specifically. I don't think there's been any good outcome of cuckery. But I'd have to really think about it.
Pain and suffering, generally speaking,
really think about it.
Can't have a good outcome. It can.
It can.
It can.
But all I'm saying is, on face value, if Nikki Haley is where we want to lay our hat, now I'm beyond discouraged.
What did we talk about? CBS News reported today. Not that we can trust CBS News, but let's just say what they reported. They reported that Donald Trump is considering Nikki Haley as a vice president.
I don't believe it.
Great. Let's not believe it.
I don't believe it.
Right.
I can't possibly believe it.
I can't.
Her position, her position is so antithetical to.
Let's bring Mike Pence back.
America first.
Let's go back with Mike Pence.
Yeah, might as well.
What's the difference?
Well, the difference is the difference is, okay, let's talk about it from a real stand. First off,
what are we talking? We're talking about Mike Pence and Nikki Haley in the little bit of time we have left. Let's just summarize.
We don't have a little bit of time. We got a lot of time. Leave y'all out of time.
These two.
If Nick, listen. Somebody asked me this the other day too, and I thought it was a good question. I thought it was a good litmus test. I really did. I appreciated the question. And it's rare that I get questions that are kind of like knee-jerk reaction, flippant questions about Donald Trump where I'm like, oh, I actually appreciate that. Somebody asked me if Donald Trump was to put Nikki Haley on the ticket, would you still vote for Donald Trump? And my answer was no, absolutely not. I would not, 100%. I will 100% I would not be able to support Donald Trump if Nikki Haley was the vice president. If Nikki Haley even made her way into the administration, I'd have serious questions about my level of support, to be honest. And that's not an indictment of Donald Trump personally. It's an indictment of his choices. But I just couldn't support that. But my point is, Nikki. Again, she's not even. It's not even that she's not a strong person. She doesn't have a strong personality. I
said she has strong opinions.
Yes, yeah. But my point is, no. I agree with you. I think there's a sizable cohort of people in America, men, women alike, in the conservative movement, and some in the moderate liberal movement, that find Nikki Haley as a, they look at her as a leader. They really do. And that's an indictment of we the people, that we would even like, when I look at her, honestly, when I hear her talk, the first thing that pops into my mind is, how did anybody justify her candidacy that would allow for billionaires and mega donors to invest money in this? Like, who actually polled and thinks she's authentic? And I have two questions. One, who are the people that they polled? Like, who in America actually thinks that this lady is fit to be a leader? But number two, who are the donors that looked at that poll and were like, oh yeah, I'm not going to look at it myself. It's all about the numbers in the polls. So this is another little scam that's starting to piss me off. And that's part of this democracy scam that's been run on us.
What was that?
Polls this, poll that. We got to poll this, poll that. If you can't look at Nikki Haley for yourself and see that her mannerisms scream dishonesty, then you don't really deserve to have a say in the process.
Well, that sounds rather deplatforming.
No, it's not deplatforming. We got to get clear about this. Our founding father said, if you would trade your freedom for security, you will have neither, and you deserve neither. They were very clear. They weren't scared to make those distinctions. Now, you may still be given the right to have it, but that doesn't mean you deserve it. Even if you have the right to it, doesn't mean you deserve it.
That's a very good comment, because this goes all the way back into the 60s. What we're going to do on the Professor Penn podcast Thursday night, which is what's the date on that? For all my potential listeners, that'd be on the 28th at 7:30. We're going to talk about Richard Nixon, who is pretty much universally reviled as a crook, tricky dick, right? I mean, this guy got branded. He was just tattooed with the brand, and he just went down in flames. Actually, what he did was he took on the administrative state.
Mm.
He actually proposed block grants for the states to return the governance of the bureaucracy. He wanted to end the bureaucracy and put it into the hands of the states where it was close to the people. Oh, and then all of a sudden, disappeared.
Mm.
And he actually said that this was the last chance to oppose and to defang the administrative state. That's 1968. So when you say that,
but he also took us off the gold standard.
And there's a lot of misinformation about that too. Not that we're going to go down that rabbit hole, but he found himself in a spot relative to exchange rates and because Lyndon Johnson left them with guns and butter at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where we're still at today.
Yeah.
We're still trying to pursue this very military-industrial complex worldwide empire, but everybody can run on down to the store and buy whatever the hell they want to. It doesn't work that way. I guess my point is, what I'm resonating with what you said was, you might still get to vote, but you don't deserve it.
Yes.
I mean, you can do it because now it's become an instrument of control rather than an instrument of will.
And that to me, that seems beautiful. I mean, honestly, the idea of that, it's like little nuggets like that, intellectually, philosophically, about an idea like a concept like American citizenship or citizenship in general, and the way our early thought leaders and philosophers, wrote it, drew it up. That makes me love this shit.
Yeah, but we can.
It's endearing. I mean, it really is. See, most people they want it easy, but all the good athletes know nothing great comes easy. So when you tell me that citizenship is a right of mine and it has a value, but there's a way for me to sort of unsubscribe myself from it by being a pussy, now I want it. Now there's a test, right? There's a level of entry. And the crazy thing is not that hard of a level of entry. I mean, it seems hard, but it only seems hard by comparison to where we've let the society become. It used to just be.
When you say we let, no, we've been brainwashed.
No,
experts.
No,
experts. Every kid goes through. Little Royce was just in here.
Yeah.
They're teaching him that he discharges his civic responsibility by voting.
No, I'm not doing it.
No, you're not doing it. But
I'm not letting us get away with that. I'm not letting us get away with. They taught us. No, because you all had your own kid. My son comes home from school every time they try and push that puberty LGBTQ shit, and he says, "Dad, this is what they were telling me today at the school." And I knew it was strange just from the outset. I knew it didn't sound right because we had those conversations.
See, this is the malleability of culture.
I'll tell you the other day, it's 50 degrees here, right?
It's great, isn't it?
Climate change has been so good
fantastic.
to Minnesotans. Oh, I love
climate change been very, very good to Minnesota.
Please give us more climate. You remember when Kanye said, I love climate change.
Why do we all have to be poor?
I love
those people on Miami Beach move? Come on now.
I love climate change. Please give us more climate change.
What's the opposite of climate change? What is the opposite of climate change? That would be no climate. When you get that clear about it, it just becomes.
Look, I'll take the climate change without the pollution. I'll say that. But listen, it dawned on me the other day, what if they're actually changing the climate on purpose to fulfill the climate change narrative? Oh, that's dark. No, seriously.
We should have a podcast.
Seriously.
Just devoted to how dark can you go? That one's dark.
No,
That's
seriously.
dark.
No, seriously. They're talking about weather manipulation. They're saying that they can manipulate the weather. They're saying that if man has identified how to heat up the planet, who's to say that they're not taking measures to heat up the planet and making us think it's us when really it's them to fulfill the narrative? Would you put that past them?
I wouldn't put anything past these people, including killing everybody.
Right. The other day I'm sitting outside with my daughter. I forget where we were, but anyway, I think we were coming from a restaurant, and it's 50 degrees. Oh, I know. It was my kid's godmother. It was her birthday. It was her birthday, so we went to a restaurant as our two families. But anyway, my daughter's sitting outside, and it's warm. And it's Christmas, and it's raining. You can still see the grass. It's the first time I remember in my lifetime that it's been this way in Minnesota. And so maybe the climate is changing. I mean, that's totally good for me as a Minnesotan. And if you have a house, mansion in Martha's Vineyard, go fuck yourself. I mean, hey, that's just how I feel about it. Don't drown your fucking your cooks in the water, and maybe the water wouldn't be rising.
Don't make us pay for it.
We're definitely not fucking paying for it. But I just mean on a personal basis, maybe it's that all these coastal elites are so fucking satanic that the water's rising. I mean, maybe it's a more of a divine intervention, like the plagues in Egypt,
An
right?
anti-divine.
No, I mean maybe
Divine.
the divine.
Oh, great.
Yeah, maybe it's like, these coastal elites are fucked up. You people need to get away from this posh, prosperous, luxurious sort of coastal elite, academic, scientific, managerial lifestyle.
You know what it really is, though?
Mm.
They found a way to circumvent the Adamic curse. They don't have to work. They have to work. I mean, a man has to work. I have this thing around the campfire at my house, Mrs. Professor Penn. Are you going to retire? No. You mean never? You're not going to retire? Why would I? I like working. And even that's kind of a scam when you say you like working. I'm supposed to work by the sweat of my brow to earn my daily bread. I'm okay with that. How many people really are okay with that?
With working.
Work.
Just work kind of has gotten a bad rap, hasn't it?
Yeah. And what's wrong with that? I mean, just work. Just try to be creative and cool.
Well, I think it's gotten it's gotten a bad rap, rightfully so, because a lot of the crony capitalism and it's been a source of tyranny and exploitation, and so that's where it's gotten a bad rap. And I don't think we should talk about this. Well, first, let me tell you a story about my daughter, and then we're going to talk about this.
Okay.
Because this is an important thing I've been thinking about too. And anyway, me and my daughter are outside this restaurant, and I go, "It is so warm outside, so nice." I go, "Kids, it's Christmas. Are you guys happy it's going to be warm, or you want the snow? How you guys feeling about it?" And they're like, "We like it. It's good. It's got a little sweater on, a little zip up hoodie, not a care in the world, not freezing outside, kind of just hanging." And my daughter goes, "Well, it's because of climate change." And I go, "What'd you say?" And she goes, "Yeah, no, we're learning about it in school. We're learning about climate change." And I go, "Climate change is a fucking hoax." And she's like, "What?" And I say, "What'd they tell you about climate change?" "Oh, that man is, she went down the whole spiel." And so I brought her home and I sat her and then we talked about climate change, and by the end she was just kind of like, "Oh." Because, they're up on the LGBTQ thing, because the whole household is, run into it, right? The LGBTQ lobby, right? There's a Jewish lobby. There's an LGBTQ lobby of all shapes and colors and sizes and creeds and nationalities. But she hadn't really thought about the climate one. I hadn't really thought about the climate one because the LGBTQ one is so strong, right? But I guess they're smuggling climate science in on the 10-year-olds too. But anyway, I wanted to ask you a question I was thinking about this the other day. There is a Gordian knot in the intellectual philosophies of the conservative movement right now. And it's something like, if you're a populist, or you're a nationalist populist, or you're America First or MAGA, you have an understanding and awareness of how America's economy and the elites or the politics have been used to really step on the little guy, right? The working class, mainly. But there's also this other dogma in the conservative movement that's pull yourself up by your bootstraps and make your own way, and don't complain. Don't complain because it's not somebody else's fault. The capitalism is great. Free trade is great. Free market enterprise is great. And America is great because of these things. And you always have an opportunity to make your own way. And it's really been used against black people. I mean, let's be honest, right? I mean, that part of the narrative has been.
It's being used against everybody now.
It's been, but I mean, that from
that's
a
where
narrative
it came
standpoint,
from, though. That's where it came
that
from.
narrative was really weaponized against black folks, where they're saying, "No, you got the same opportunities everybody else does.
You're lazy.
You're lazy," right? And so, I mean, I just been thinking lately that we got to get that part ironed out. Yeah, no, working is good, but just because you understand the value of work, just because you find a way to appreciate and enjoy your work, or have your work create meaning in your life or meaning for others, doesn't mean you should let your employers fuck you. And it certainly doesn't mean you should let your political elites exploit you. Those two things can be separated from one another, or can't they?
Oh, they most certainly can. That's what politics is all about. That's what politics is all about. I personally have a lot of esoteric issues that I'm pursuing in politics, but that's me. Whereas Mrs. Professor Penn says I'm a philosopher.
Mm.
Okay, great. She doesn't like that. She likes the cash side of the equation. So if you're in the cash side of the equation, why would we allow our elites to fuck us when we have the power through political participation to reset the playing field? This is the discouragement and the hope simultaneously. Culture is modifiable. It's malleable. The whole reason I'm doing the podcasting, and I think that, you're actually a candidate. That's a whole other level of things. The point is to get people involved in politics such that they chart their own future. Why have we abdicated why have we given up our power? We've just given up our power. Now this part, blame it on the Jews. Let's just blame it on the Jews. All y'all listening out there, they're sitting there complaining, you got 2 weeks of money, life's shit. It's the Jews' fault. There's nothing you can do about it. It's them pesky Jews. Good work. Good work if you're going to let people sell you that.
Yeah.
This has nothing to do with killing the Jews, beating the Jews down. Get up off your ass and become politically active like we're doing. This is a commitment, but beyond that, this is the
let's say the rabbi does own Pornhub.
Quit watching it.
He wouldn't be able to, he wouldn't be able to
make a living at it.
Make a living unless we were watching it.
We love it. So why don't we quit?
And here's what I don't like about it. To pretend that another group of people has so much influence that it would supersede the constitutional construction of American citizenship by our founding fathers in a sort of we the people edifice, it bastardizes the individual. You can't have it both ways. You can't see, and this is where the woke right and the extreme right, if that's even a real place. I don't think it's a real place. I think it's Fedland. But this is where the woke right and the extreme right merge plot, because they both say they both go, we got to talk about the individual, right? It's all about the individual. Again, mostly when they talk about black people. Let's not talk about identity. Let's not talk about groups. Let's talk about the individual content and character. Okay, well, let's talk about the individual. When you say that the Jews are so powerful and so influential that they've left us all but helpless in the shadow of their grandeur, their grand political power, doesn't that bastardize the individual?
Doesn't it piss you off, make you want to prove it wrong?
But doesn't it just say that there is no America? That America's Constitution doesn't even work in a fundamental way? I'm not willing to say that.
Well, why would you? Well, how could we say that?
It doesn't make sense.
The whole point of the whole thing, get off of this Jewish thing. We have a European framework of describing the world and to run in our country. It's the British business model. Our founders left us this phenomenal life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Everybody get out there. Do things for your life. Do things for your liberty. And do things for your pursuit of happiness. And when you do that, you're going to run into Christ. The founders left us a religious life. A life of faith, of
a religious
family.
Framework.
They did.
Mechanism.
But they were just cool enough to say you don't have to do it one way or the other. There's no state religion. They left it open. But it's a completely different organization than slavery, drugs, and piracy. We got life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And we got slavery, drugs, and piracy. Pick them. You pick them. People.
Here's another one. Here's another one. Here's another one of these cognitive distortions that I just, for the life of me, the reason I say I'm discouraged is because it's never been more clear to me how stupid people can be. And you want to think that the people who are at least paying attention to politics enough to comment on them are some of the more intelligent folks, right? But what I'm starting to see is that the academic uh, uh, bourgeoisie, the
The talking heads.
the Ivy League brigade, those people,
Ugh.
and the and whatever their counter is, are just as stupid as one another. And the centrists are no different. And sometimes the centrists are usually from the Ivy League, but even when they're not, the centrist is his own place, right? Is everybody? I'm so moderate. I do well in the middle. People, I can talk to both sides. Just fuck off. You know, if you can talk to both sides when both sides have some sanity, that's good.
What did it say?
Spit on the floor.
Right.
Spit on the floor when I meet you people. You disgust me. But
Did you get that T-shirt up at the store?
I didn't. I got to still get that design finished. I want that one to be special. That's a
Spit on the floor.
spit on the floor.
Coming soon to a Free People store near you.
Yeah. The store is doing well. The people like the stuff on the store. I keep seeing people purchase stuff. But my what I was gonna say is where they merge plot. You know, the right has the same sort of cognitive distortion about a thing like race, right? Because again, like imagine you say that the European Jews, from a genealogical standpoint, is that the right word? Genealogical? They're gonna go making up words again. A genealogy.
No, that's a word.
Okay,
Genealogical.
just making sure. You know,
Yeah,
we got
yeah.
the fucking dictionary police out there these days. From a genealogical standpoint, from a genetic standpoint, that the European Jews aren't the real Jews, which is something you hear even on the
A lot.
far right. No, I mean not. No, I'm just talking about from the Hebrew Israelites. I'm talking about.
Oh, this is a big thing with Stu Peters.
Okay, so Stu, and this is just
Khazarians.
this is just a logical question. If the Khazarians aren't real Jews by blood, that would make them European. That would make them white, right? So they're not even Jews. They're white.
That's his point.
But no, that's not his point, because at the same time, you get the crossover, the Nick Fuentes type crowd who say we need to become a Christian white nation again. Well, the Khazarians and the Jews are white.
I'm sure he's on the payroll of the CIA now.
But do you understand what I'm saying?
When you say it like that, when you look at the...
Don't you understand what am I making sense?
Yeah.
If
for
they're
sure.
not real Jews by blood, by ethnicity, by genealogy, if they picked up the faith, the religious tradition, and assimilated into their European culture, they're white. So if you're saying that they're the issue, you're going back to say that whites are the issue.
That's a good move.
And this is the same, but this is what the woke left, BLM, Islamic Brotherhood, Hamas, CCP, constabulary from around the world is building up. They're saying, this is their point. They're saying that the Jews, they're saying it from a different angle.
They're whites.
Yes, they are saying it
Therefore,
that way.
they're colonial
Yes.
settlers
Yes, that's
oppressing
exactly
the
how
brown
they're saying
people.
it. That's exactly how
And
they're
they're
saying
sucking
it.
up all the kids that
And
have,
Stu Peters and Nick Fuentes are helping. They're helping it. So, again, I say,
they hate themselves.
who are these people?
They're on the payroll.
Who are these people? I mean, I don't even accept that we're European. We're not European.
We're Americans.
We're not European. We went to war with these people to have independence.
Twice.
We're not European. We're just not.
I think this is a very important thing for us to continue working on in our future work together. What is it to be an American? We need to redefine what it is to be an American.
Absolutely.
We had an image of it, and that's been thoroughly overthrown. That'd be the movies of they were all,
John Wayne?
it's the Jewish Hollywood gave us a never-ending kind of a,
The Jews weren't in charge of Hollywood back then, though.
oh, yes, they were.
Were they?
Oh, of course they were.
Really?
100%.
Huh.
Louis B. Mayer, come on. They ran the whole deal.
Did they?
They did. Yes, they did.
Hmm.
They did. And you know why
They had a
did?
very different way of depicting American citizenship back then, didn't
Of course they did, because that's where the money was.
they? We the people.
We the people.
We decided what we would buy and what we would watch.
That's correct.
Right.
Like I was asked to go to see this new Aquaman movie that's out.
Yeah.
I refused.
Why?
Because there's nothing there to see.
The first one was good.
But the second one was, even my young 14-year-old man Bryden said this thing sucked. But I mean, the movies are not good.
The graphics were good. The Aquaman movie was the first superhero movie. Avatar, Aquaman came before this last Avatar movie. And as much as I think James Cameron is a woke turd, yeah, those fucking movies are great. I mean, they're just an example. If you spend $1 billion on making one,
would you please watch Payback?
Listen, Payback's great, I'm sure. I like really simple movies like My Cousin Vinny.
Go watch.
I'm a simple guy.
I'm just telling.
But what I'm telling you is, when you go see Avatar at IMAX, the thing is
I saw
it's a feat of
I saw it.
cinema.
It's a transhumanist wet
No
dream.
doubt, no doubt. Well, yeah, that's the underlying political message.
That's correct.
Not even underlying, overlying.
Right.
But I'm just saying, the graphics the animation's incredible. Aquaman was the first underwater movie where they actually were able to create an underwater world with real people, right? Not like Finding Nemo, where they had the fish swimming under animated. No, this was like more real, better CGI before the latest Where the Water Avatar movie that was actually functional, like you could really get into it, right? So I thought first of all, the comic books were great. I love comic books. Maybe comic books were a part of the satanic play too. At that level, you're going to say everything. You can say everything is. I'm just not one of those jerk-offs either. I love the comic. I love DC. I love Marvel. I love to compare the two. Marvel was great. I read the actual comics when I was coming up. Iron Man, Thor, Hulk, X-Men. I read the actual
Captain America. All right.
We can't even make Captain America's a racist colonialist, right? I mean, this is how fucking. Let me take another drink of this. That's how fucking stupid these people think you are. In the movie Black Panther, they are in Wakanda, and I remember the little sister of T'Challa, who's Black Panther's. You know, they played by the actor that died recently of cancer. He was a really good actor too, but he passed. That was sad because it was sudden. But anyway, the little sister called the white who is like a Men in Black sort of CIA agent. He worked for SHIELD, which was like the intergalactic, human intergalactic agency that's keeping track of all of this, all of this superhero shit, right? All of the space shit. Anyway, she called him a settler, right? She called him a colonialist, right? In the movie. Yeah. Yeah, she called him a colonist.
Those fighting words.
Yeah, she called him that. Yeah. But what's funny is, in the story arc, Captain America and Black Panther end up being the best allies. They have like a special relationship. And it was the same way in the comics. In the comics, Black Panther, the first time Black Panther was introduced to the Avengers canon, Black Panther came to America to seek out Captain America to come and help him fight a rival tribe in Wakanda that had killed his father and challenged the crown, the kingship there. So I mean, this is how stupid they think you are. In one sense, they call you colonial settlers. In another sense, Captain America and Black Panther are the best allies. I mean, they don't even know how to construct a seamless counter narrative. I mean, that's just how shoddy because they're intemperate. They're not even really sophisticated like that in the way they're going about this shit.
That means we're really stupid.
That means we're really fucking stupid. I mean, real dumb.
That's discouraging.
That's discouraging, ain't it? That's why I was saying it. It's discouraging.
I get it. I feel your pain. That's
how good. Little effort they have to put forward to get everybody distracted and goofy bothers me. I'm just like, Stu, Nick, what are we talking about? You got to be a Fed, because no Christian would say something like we should be a white Christian nation. What the fuck do you mean by white? What do they mean by whites and non-whites? Why would I use the framework that my enemy uses to define myself? That's what Nick Fuentes proposed online. He said, we have to get serious that there is a movement out there to separate whites from non-whites, and that we should start to view ourselves and accept that we're whites because they view themselves as non-whites, and they don't like us, and they don't want to be around us, and they don't want to. Why would I allow my enemies to create a classification and categorization to define me? Why would I define myself by the way my enemies want to define me?
When you talk like this, it's just so obvious that everything is going to lead us away from life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. The core documents. That's discouraging. And people go down the rabbit hole. That's my bitch.
It's easy to go down that rabbit hole. I can't tell you how much I'm seeing it. It's Judas or the white man. Or I said the other day, when I posted a clip of the Godzilla movie on Twitter, one comment, and and I'm not saying it's not the vast majority, it's a loud minority of people. One person goes, what about because I say this is being led by white liberal women. This climate change.
I saw that.
It is. The climate change thing is the poster child of it is Greta
right
Thunberg.
Here in Minnesota.
It's right Greta Thunberg.
Right here, it's the doctor, Kelly Morrison.
Greta Thunberg is the global figurehead of
she's everywhere.
Come on.
She's like an agent.
Come on.
She's nowhere and everywhere.
And somebody goes, well, what about the black liberal women? It's like, okay, yeah, what about them? I talk about them all the time. But why do you feel the need to interject that black liberal women are just as bad as white liberal women? I mean, it's like, come on, man. Like, what are we? Victoria Nuland, Nikki Haley, Amy Klobuchar?
Same people.
Elizabeth Warren?
Same people. Oh, no, she's worth $65 million.
Hillary Clinton?
$200 million.
I mean, well, what are we talking about? Jill Biden? We could go down the list. The list is long. And yeah, you could sprinkle some black women. I mean, think of how the squad gets put. Think of this. This is crazy. I've been thinking about this lately. The squad, don't get me, horrifying. Rashida, Ilhan, AOC. I mean, they're just horrifying. That's comic book. That's like a real life comic book, right? But it's just a special edition. When you look at
that's good.
It is.
It is. It's a big distraction.
When you look at the broad body of the United States Congress and the Senate, the majority of the women that are in office are who? White women. They are. They are. So,
and it's a great advance for women.
To say that Ilhan Omar and those guys are leading the way, they're not leading shit. They're carrying water. Maxine Waters, she's probably got more juice than the four of them got, to be honest, because she's been there so long.
She's got more balls for sure.
She's got more evidence.
She robbed.
She knows where more bones are buried.
Oh yeah, she does.
Yeah, she acts like it too. I mean, she doesn't even have the thin veneer of playing the game. She's just way out there in left field.
I have to say, I kind of respect her for some of that shit, because she's so wild. In the financial crisis of 2008, her husband owned a community bank. And of course, I have to say this carefully because I don't know all the facts and can't remember. But somehow she wrote a letter, and he got an injection of capital to save that bank. I mean, this kind of shit is just crazy when you say where the bones are buried.
Mm-hmm.
When I talk to you and when we go over these things, I just have this pain, this suffering, and this question I ask myself, what do we have to do to get people to be Americans? Why do we want to not be American? Why do we hate ourselves so much? We're given this great country. All we got to do is participate. Shit, we can't even get people to vote. We can't even get people to vote. How many people do you and
But you want to talk about the Jews?
Jason said he never voted in a presidential election recently. Did you see that?
And he said he's not going to. He said he has no plans to.
Why?
Because he's a neocon. You think the neocons feel the need to vote?
What? Well, I'm glad you're off the show, because how can we have a guy?
Do the neocons need to vote?
Do they need to vote?
Yeah.
Apparently not. Apparently when they win, and they lose, they win.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, that's absolutely right.
That's why we got Nikki Haley coming up as a dark horse.
Yeah. And people want to, why are you saying 501c3 Christians? It's another psyop.
Why? Because how many people are ready to pick up their cross and bear it? Because if you're either going to pick up your cross and bear it, or you're a 501c3. I mean, it's kind of mutually exclusive.
No, we don't have to. I don't have to bear any cross.
You don't?
Christ died for my sins. Christ is my personal Lord and Savior. He died for my sins.
Is it that easy?
Everything, I was baptized. I've given my life over to Jesus Christ. I'm saved. I go to worship on Sundays, and they play electric guitar and bass and tambourines.
And everybody's welcome.
And guess what? Hey, that's it. What's going to be of the world is going to be.
It's God's plan.
It's all predetermined. There is no free will. There's no free will.
That sounds very satanic to me. Seems a little satanic. The whole point is free will. You know, in Judaism, for the Stewies and the Nicks that are watching us, this will fuck you up for sure. Jewish people are raised to believe. The real Jewish people. You're going to love this, Stu. We're actually raised to believe that the world's not finished and God gave us free will to choose how it's going to get finished. It's kind of a trip, kind of like the Matrix with Cypher and Neo. Every Jewish person is supposed to believe that they have the responsibility of finishing. You talked about that.
The power of creation.
You talked about that magazine, Tikkun. That's what it means, Tikkun Olam, the healing of the world. That's
guess who also believes that? Guess who's very close to you all's tribe with that?
Who's that?
Lean this way a little bit. The black Muslims. I mean, not the black Muslims. I'm sorry. A lot of Muslims, and not only the black Muslims. A lot of these newer. I want to call them what Hotep Jesus would call them Hoteps, but
I like that.
But they're like kind of an evolution of the same kind of theological philosophy of Nation of Gods and Earth from Clarence 13X, who came from, Clarence came from the mosque number 7 with Malcolm. And then after Malcolm defected from the Nation of Islam, he defected as well in New York City, and he created his own organization called the Nation of Gods and Earths. And in the Nation of Gods and Earths, there are a lot of people who the men refer to themselves as gods and the women refer to themselves as earths. And the premise of this is that God made us in his image, right? His image and his likeness. Now, again, this gets a little woke, and when I see this online, I smack myself in the head and I go, damn, y'all are caught up in that. Because it's not even that the spirit of it is wrong, so much that the emotional investment in it is disanchored, right? I mean, you can tell it becomes a sort of narcissistic aggrandizement more than it is a function of well-being and self-governance and participation.
A descriptive label becomes a narcissistic excuse.
Yeah, I don't like that. But their whole view of it is similar in that, saying that man was made in the image of God, and part of the evidence is that man has the ability through consciousness to take his thoughts and turn them into reality.
Creativity.
Yeah,
kind of sounds like
other species really no other species on the planet has that ability.
Kind of sounds like the Declaration of Independence.
Yes, it does. So there's merit to it. I'm not saying it's meritless. I'm saying when you turn it into a narcissistic tool for you to walk around like I'm a god myself, it's like, okay, slow down. Okay, fuck. My guy, pump your brakes. Okay, you're way out there. You're way out there past the buoy. But I get the sentiment, and it's very similar to what you're saying about Jewish people thinking that they were commissioned to finish creation. That
Great,
the free will piece.
And we got most of them out there going in pulling in a different direction, which leads to some of this hatred. But
it's us Catholics that will be throwing a monkey wrench in you guys' interpretation of the thing. But we'll save that for another day.
Go ahead.
Yeah, we just it's
another
too,
time.
Too
Get
deep.
AJ on here.
Too deep.
Get
too
AJ.
deep.
Get AJ.
Look, I don't look. I'm not saying, there is heresy, but we're in a whole new world now. And to finish, let's talk. This is great. This is one of the longest podcasts we've had. But to finish, the God of chaos.
Here it comes.
The UFO
In
sighting,
case you're not scared enough.
UFO sighting over Air Force One. You don't do it out of fear. This is just the world that's in front of us. Don't be afraid. If you're scared, as they say, go to church in the neighborhood. If you're scared, go to church. UFO sighting over Air Force One. We're going to war. Houthi and the Blowfish, military-industrial complex. What do you make of the UFO thing? But it throws a real wrench in a lot of people's previously held views of the world, right? Of the universe, in a good way, in a healthy way. I mean, I think there's a Christian. This kind of tells you how Christianity has been perverted in America anyway, because there's a lot of things in the Bible that are left out of the common purview of Christianity, and it's weird. It's like the firmament, right? The Bible speaks of Earth as a firmament.
We heading towards the flat Earth now?
No, I think the Earth is round. I just personally think it's round, but I could be wrong. Look, I'm just a 32-year-old black kid from Rondo community in St. Paul.
Science is about.
I've never been to space. I can't tell you if the Earth is flat or round.
Science is about constant inquiry.
I can't tell you whether the Earth is flat or round. I don't feel the need to.
Do you care?
I don't care.
I don't care either.
I really don't care. You can't make me care. You just can't make me care. You can't make me feel bad about.
You're going to ask me this question about aliens. I'm going to tell you, I don't care, and I'm going to tell you why.
No, I'm not. My question is not about the aliens. My question is about the Bible.
Oh,
as a Jewish man,
okay,
as an Orthodox religious Jew, when you read the Old Testament and you read the Bible, and there's constant reference in there to entities that could be thought of as extraterrestrial, interdimensional, certainly interdimensional, but extraterrestrial, or the firmament, for example, as Judeo-Christian stories that refer to this UFO sort of extraterrestrial phenomenon that we never really even talk about. I mean, so much of Christianity gets boiled down to like, do you use profanity or not? And we never even really talk about the more existential writings in the Bible, like the firmament or some of the beings or things that are described in the Bible. What's your take? I mean, they're obviously going to use the UFO thing against us now, one way or another. Either it's already being used against us, the aliens are here.
Wait, slow down.
Yeah.
Is God supernatural? Of
course.
Great. I'm working on that one. And all the other stuff that comes with it, it comes with it. This is something for the younger people. The younger people. I'm not a younger person anymore, but I started working on my faith when I was young. And I'm not saying somebody couldn't convert and find Christ on their deathbed and be saved. I think they could. But it's a little different if you started working when you were like 12, like little Royce, and build a superstructure of faith that you keep working on throughout your entire life. It's there for when you die. I mean, really, for everybody that's like pushing that away, hey, it's coming at you like a freight train. That light you see, that's not a train. So, we got to deal with this issue. A lot of religion is about preparing one to die
Mm.
with some resolution about life and death.
Mm.
So, God is a supernatural being. I have been blessed to know God, to really know Him. So all these lesser lights that come along, hey, I'm focused on God. And if the angels want to show up, great. And the Nephilim want to show up, great. And Klaus Schwab wants to show up, great. My strength is in my faith. That's it. I can deal with any issue that comes up if I have faith. And to the extent that I don't have faith, I need to pray for forgiveness for not being faithful. I think for me, where I am in my own walk right now, any fear, anxiety, doubt, that's just a measure of my own faithlessness.
Yeah.
And we're at a point in American history, hey, we need to have some faith in the American people, in our country, in our founding documents, in what it is to be an American, white or black, or red, or yellow, or brown. Who gives a shit about our color, Nick? Do we believe in being an American? And if we want to believe in being an American, could we please study what it is to be an American? Because nobody taught us. They taught us how to be Europeans. And I have something I want to say. Fuck these Europeans. Just fuck them. Their ideology sucks. It just sucks. It just does. We see that it sucks. We experimented with it. It doesn't work. It's making us poor. It's making us unwell. And it's making us extinct because they're teaching us that we love the earth so much that we have to die. These people really suck. They really suck.
Earth worshippers.
They're pagans. I mean, this is the essence of paganism.
Weren't the Germanics earth worshippers?
They were pagans, and earth worship is a big part of it.
No, I mean, wasn't that the rift between the Germanic tribes and the Roman Empire? Is that the Germanic tribes had the runes that you see in Aryan or Nazi, Ukrainian, Eastern European, Germanic, Europe are symbols of the pagan polytheistic religion of
earth worship.
Earth worship.
Natural way.
Right?
Right.
Yeah.
Fire and ice.
Right.
Right.
Odin.
It's kind of
Thor.
These people were conquered by the Holy Roman Empire. And the Holy Roman Empire came through and said, because it wasn't a Holy Roman Empire, it sounded good. Mm-hmm. Convert or die. Convert or die. These people converted, and in their basements, they kept the old ways. And guess where they ended up? Columbia University, Harvard University, teaching my children everything that's anti-Christian. That's what we're living in. I'm so angry about it. Because going back to what you said, you have to have an Italian kind of meal to figure this out. You might have to read some philosophy that goes back to, the Bible. Start there. Read the Bible.
Do you think that the founding fathers' interpretation of Christianity or political structure, government structure of America was a sort of resolve or remedy to the sins of not only the crown but the Roman Empire as well, and trying to force people to love God? That the freedom and liberalism that was adopted in America's foundational documents were a sort of evolution of what had went wrong with the Holy Roman Empire and the British Empire?
I think that's a good working theory. And because the success of our country is on the backs of each individual American citizen who's given the right to exercise his free will through the process. Right. There's no divine right of kings. We've got this goofy oligarch class now, this fascist class. It's not what our country is made to be. You say it quite eloquently, the nation of shopkeepers. Mm-hmm. Creativity. Our scope is way too large. I really don't give a shit about those seaborne choke points in the Middle East that can cut off oil to the Chinese. I don't care about that. I care about the people that live in North Minneapolis or that live in Waseca or live in Hibbing that need to, we've spent what, $200 billion on the Ukrainians or something like that?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
How about everybody just get a check? I mean, if we're just going to print money and give it away, instead of laundering it through the Ukraine, how about laundering it through the Professor Penn household?
That's the argument they make for universal basic income.
Okay, great.
If we're going to print up the money and spend it anyway, we might as well just pass it around to Americans.
Well, if we're going to waste it, they spend all this money on the...
Well, they're not wasting it. It's an investment.
In what?
In Nazi Germany.
That's great. That's right. In the runs.
Yeah, in the runs.
We're getting invested in the runs.
Yeah, that's what we do.
That's great. Fantastic.
It's a twofer. We're invested in Nazi Germany, and we get the shit on Russia. You know how we love to shit on Russia.
We get all the money that comes off all that. If you're in that oligarch class, when people say in the right that it's a money laundering operation, I'm not sure American citizens really understand what's being said there.
Okay, explain it.
What they're saying is, when you send $100 million of aid to the Ukraine, only about, 50 cents actually goes to the Ukraine. The rest of it gets taken off for, handling charges, for carrying charges. Every defense contractor, every logistics company, every NGO, everybody's taking the cash before it gets to the Ukrainian people. By the time it gets to the Ukrainian people, Putin won. Because none of the money got there. None of the weapons got. The weapons are showing up in the Middle East.
Well, wait. The Nikki Haley's of the world and everybody else.
Give us more.
No, well, but they knew, and they never thought to explain to the American people when they were saying that we just need more aid in order for Ukraine to cross the finish line. This was just Amy Klobuchar 3 days ago.
Yes.
This ain't over. Although the war is strategically over, they won't accept strategic defeat.
Well, they got a new war now.
No, but they're still saying we need to get the Ukraine across the finish line.
Hey, the more the merrier. When you're talking about robbing, why rob a
But
little?
why didn't Amy, why didn't Nikki Haley come and say, hey, listen, there's a VIG on the money that, the money that we're printing that we don't have to help the Ukraine fight this war?
These 2,000 people are going to get the VIG.
There's a VIG.
Yeah.
So we actually need triple that. I was watching a movie the other day. I don't know if you ever seen the movie Bugsy with Warren Beatty.
Oh, yeah, of course I have.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's a great movie.
It's a great movie.
And Victoria Hill, and that's a really good movie.
Yeah.
And Bugsy goes he goes on in the early scene to meet the guy who's been skimming money off the top, and he goes out of this. But these dudes were funny. Who was a Jewish gangster, by the way? I mean, if Jewish Hollywood was,
well, it was a gangster who was a cultural Jew. You can't be a Jewish gangster. That's an oxymoron.
But I'm saying that if the Jews were running Hollywood even then, they didn't feel any personal affliction with depicting the Jewish mob. There wasn't a concession created like, oh, we don't want to depict Jews as bootleggers.
Is the black community proud of its gangsters?
Yeah, they're somewhat iconicized. Yeah.
Same thing in the Jewish community.
Yeah, because they're the people that say. I thought Sonny Johnson made a great point about the black community. Where I can't speak on behalf of the Jewish community, but although
Are you sure?
Yeah. Well, yeah, I guess I can. Hey, don't be outing me on the show like that. There's some. No, I'm not even gonna say that. Then I'm gonna be in on this. All hell's gonna break loose. But yeah, I won't go there today. I'll go there another day. We'll save that story for another day. I promise.
HEBROES.
I have Grandma Sandra Pryor in one day to tell that story about Grandma Doris and the whole white family tree. But my point is, like, the black community, and Sonny made a great point. Sonny Johnson, she said, and it made me think for the first time. She goes, all these conservatives, all these right-wingers, all these Republicans talk about how bad Marxism and communism is. Imagine what it was like to live in it. Imagine what it's like to live under it. And imagine being a young black man that would much rather take the risk or the sin or the danger, the danger, the risk that comes along with the street life, the gangster life. rather than become a slave to communism and Marxism.
The whole story of the
Liberalism.
Godfather. The whole story of the Godfather.
Well, it's very American in its spirit, real Americanism, not lukewarm post World War II democratic liberal order Americanism.
I'm free.
Well, it's give me liberty or give me death, and in that way, the black community sort of chooses death, or at least the potential of death. Like in Chicago, young kids in Chicago run around with guns. Now, don't get me wrong, it's silly. There's no sacred honor in it. It's lawless, but so were the early days of America as a nation, and the rule of law put some guardrails around that, and we all saw that as being better. But what's happened?
There's a cost.
Big cost. The federal government is pissing on you all the time. And it was, so there's a trade-off.
Yeah, Tricky Dick, he was the one trying to take it down, and he lost his presidency.
Yeah, yeah.
And here comes Donald Trump suffering the same kind of lawfare that and we think this will never, what are they doing to Trump? Oh, it's unprecedented. No. They removed a sitting president with a shot to the front of his head and said it was from behind. That was 1963. Then just 10 years later, in 1973, they removed a president through lawfare without ever proving that he was involved in the conspiracy.
Why do you say it was a shot to the front of the head?
Talking about Kennedy, that shot in the Zapruder film.
That was the front of the head, you think?
Well, I thought it was from behind for a big part of my life.
I thought it hit from the side.
You did, huh?
I mean, just from a physics
You
standpoint.
mean the way his head jacked back in that car?
Well, look, if you get hit with high power, look, I'm not gonna shill for the Zapruder or the magic bullet theory. I can't believe that the boomers believe the magic bullet theory. But the idea that when a bullet hits your head, trust me, you which way your head's gonna move is not gonna be
his whole body jacked backwards. He got shot from the front, and they convinced us he got shot from behind.
You think he got shot from the front?
Yes, I do.
I thought the bullet hit from the side, from this side upper left cranial area, and the force jacked his, boom,
You can see it any way you want to.
But you think he was hit from the front?
I certainly do.
Where'd the bullet come from?
From the grassy knoll or from wherever the hell. The story has not come out yet. He was not shot by Lee Harvey Oswald.
Well, I don't believe that.
My point is not to get caught down the Zapruder hole.
Zapruder hole is a good hole.
Nixon's way better. Kennedy's dead. Nixon, we got a president right now, Trump,
okay,
who's getting these unprecedented legal challenges.
You're saying Trump's getting Watergated.
That's exactly what I'm trying to say. And the same lawyers.
I don't like your Nixon theory.
Well, you better do some research. Come to the show on Thursday night. I'm going to lay it out in great detail. Great detail.
I'm always open to learn. You look at the total sum of Nixon's presidency. If he wasn't in on it, he was damn sure a useful idiot.
Well, things change over time.
Roe v. Wade, the gold standard.
He had nothing to do with Roe v. Wade. That's the Supreme Court.
Well, no.
That's the Supreme Court.
Yes, but the conservatives, but the conservative movement, executive powers, the presidency, he could have said, "Hey, this is a matter of national security." Did he do that?
National security. I like that theory.
Is it not?
Abortion and national security. Only if you're going to derive abortion from the military-industrial complex.
That's what I'm saying.
Then it is.
That's what I'm saying.
We're getting deep now. I think we're leaving some of the viewers in the dust.
Okay. Well, hey.
That's. I mean, we
That's
agree
why I'm
about
running for United States Senate. But listen,
I agree with that.
EPA,
No. Wait
gold
a second.
standard.
Wait a second.
Okay.
Things change over time.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe Kissinger.
The big one was opening up China.
Yes.
Okay, that's the big one.
But that was like the ultimate fuck you to the military-industrial complex.
Why?
Because the entire architecture of the expenditure at that time was an anti-communist expenditure. Vietnam was a war against the Chinese.
Right.
Right on their border.
Right.
That was a continuation of the Korean War.
So your theory of the case is that Nixon's in on it. We know what Kissinger's in on it was. Kissinger's in on it was globalism.
Nixon was a Quaker. Very peaceful group of people.
Like Uncle Alfred.
Well, I hope not.
Well,
Uncle Alfred had some other strings.
Listen.
He had some other strings attached.
Let's go here. Your boy Nixon
My boy now.
Your boy Nixon.
Right.
Don't be comparing Nixon to Trump. Now I'm not. I can't.
I'm saying the people that took him out. I'm not comparing Nixon to Trump.
You're saying that the people who benefited from him going down were the administrative state.
That's what was defended and protected, and all of this.
That don't mean he was a good guy.
No, but he actually proposed block grants to the states and the deconstruction of the administrative state, and they smoked his ass.
Maybe he did that as a cover-up of all of his wicked ways.
No.
Maybe it's Jeffrey Epstein saying the way of the future is the way women think, and then he's raping 13-year-old girls on the Lolita Express.
Nixon brought an end to the Vietnam War. Nixon opened China. Nixon was deconstructing the administrative state. Nixon told Hoover, I know who killed Kennedy. Nixon did a lot of things that were not in a box. He was like a transitional figure. He was not completely down with the neocon narrative. In fact, he was deconstructing it. He was the one that said you can't have guns and butter at the same time. We got to get out of Vietnam. We got to quit this war with the communists.
Yeah.
And he had the gravitas to do it because he was like the ultimate anti-communist warrior. I think he needs a little bit more review. I'm not saying he was a good guy. I'm saying that the guys that took him out. Reagan's a totally different case.
Nixon, both seen in a picture. If you go up right now, pull your phone out.
No, talking about the monkeys?
No. Oh, well, yeah, talking about the Africans as monkeys. Yeah, that's one thing.
They had that in common. They did have that in common.
If they were racist?
Yes.
Hey, it was going around. Pull your phone out.
Yes, sir.
And Google Bohemian Grove.
Oh, great.
Mm-hmm. Just Google Bohemian Grove.
Great. I'm doing it right now. Got it.
Wikipedia?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead. Pull it up.
I'm looking at it right now.
What's the picture?
Ronald Reagan, Harvey Hancock, Richard Nixon, and Glenn Seaborg.
Now how you feel about him?
I feel this shit's deep. We better have a long Italian meal on this one. These people are scary. And all the
double cross and the triple cross.
And all the attorneys that took them out were Jewish. What does that tell you? And all the attorneys that are working on Trump, anti-Jews. This shit, you know what? I'm going to invite you out for a long Italian meal, and we're going to have to sort through this over some pasta and red wine.
Yeah. Hey, this is American politics. It's a goat fuck. But we appreciate.
It's a goat fuck until everybody that's listening just goes into the Republican Party, and we can ungoat fuck it in one election cycle if the people would quit depending on these Bohemian Grove worshiping motherfuckers and just come right off your couch and realize this is our country. It's not theirs.
Stop thinking they have some academic expertise that gives them the skill, the know-how,
some special power.
Yeah, to govern over you. You have just as much common sense to govern yourself as they do, academic expertise. And
Here's the greatest power in the universe. What they fear, that everybody watching and listening can implement right now. Whatsoever you wish for when you pray, believe you've received it, and ye shall have it. What do we want as American citizens? Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Let's just claim it, and let's believe it, and believe we've received it, and these sons of bitches are going to disappear. Miracle. Do I sound crazy?
Please call me crazy.
Thank you.
What's your parting shots, and tell us where we can watch and listen to the podcast?
Podcast is on Tuesdays and Thursday nights, and I'm asking you there. I'm drafting off of the magnificent Royce White, candidate for U.S. Senate. Please come over to the Professor Penn podcast, where we're getting into the detail work of the history to create a substrate for our candidates to venture ahead. We're going to be in an argument about Richard Nixon here next. That could be the next HEBROES. To Nixon or not to Nixon? That is the question. I'll tell you what, he's better than Nikki Haley.
Oh,
he's better than Nikki Haley.
Smarter.
He's better than Nikki Haley.
Maybe that may be worse. Dangerous. Nikki Haley's not working for us. Nikki Haley's not thinking this shit up on their own. These guys, Nixon and Reagan, these guys were no dummies.
We've got
the things they were involved in. Now, Kissinger was a smart, diabolical.
How about George
motherfucker.
Bush the senior? These people were hitters.
Hitters.
That's
Nikki
right.
Haley's not a hitter.
We've watered down a bit, haven't we?
Yeah, she doesn't even.
It's time for an American
No,
revival.
I don't even think they watered. I think they did it intentionally. Why would we have our hitters out in front? We don't want.
Stick them in the bureaucracy.
Stick them in the
where they can run things.
Where they can run things.
And these elected officials,
interchangeable.
That's just a scam for us to go get excited.
Interchangeable.
What a jerk off that is, huh? We need some real politicians. Hey, y'all, get out there and caucus for Royce White. If you're in Minnesota, come to the campaign, be involved in politics, and let's get some real American leaders going before it's too late.
Professor Penn, ladies and gentlemen. Professor Penn, this has been another family and friends guest episode, one that I really love. HEBROES. HEBROES is coming soon.
Well, this is kind of a HEBROES.
This is HEBROES. You're getting this. This is HEBROES, but we got the official channel and branding of HEBROES coming, which is
we're going to try to be a little more funny on HEBROES.
A little bit
drink
different
a little bit more.
A little bit different setting, a little bit more whiskey. Hopefully, maybe some cigars. I'm trying not to smoke too many cigars these days. Can't trust them. But, HEBROES is coming soon. Please call me crazy as usual. We didn't have any Christmas episode or Christmas Eve episode, so we've been off for a couple of days. If you didn't already, go watch the Alex Jones episode on Twitter or on Rumble, on War Room's Getter page, Rumble page, and I believe Alex Jones is running.
He's running
the interview this week. I'm not sure exactly which day or which hour.
Over 1 million views right now.
Over 1 million views. The interview with Alex Jones. It was a special one. I thought Alex was great. He was in rare form, and very spiritual towards the end. So go back and watch that. That was the last episode we were on and up. It wasn't on YouTube. We apologize, but since I'm already on a 90-day strike, if I'd have put Alex Jones up, my channel might have been completely
blown apart,
taken down. Yeah. So. Go visit it, and you can always go listen on audio platforms. The audio platform has been great in letting us put everything up, so that's a good sign. Professor Penn podcast Tuesdays and Thursdays, 7:30 p.m. Central. You can go to freepeopleradio.com and find out where you can watch and listen to the podcast. Follow us on social media. You can also go to the store by hitting the store tab on freepeopleradio.com's website. You can also go to freepeopleradio.store. If you want to go directly to the store, don't forget to visit roycewhite.us. You can make a contribution to my Senate campaign. And this is a grassroots movement. And this is one other thing I wanted to say before we finish today. The amount of money that is assumed you need in order to run a successful Senate campaign should be enough incentive, should be enough motivation, should be a big enough insult to your intelligence and your citizenship for you to get involved in politics. $40 to $50 million these Senate campaigns are costing. Where, just tell me in the comments, where would I need to go? Who would I need to sit with? What would I need to promise them in order to raise $40 to $50 million to be competitive in the United States Senate race? And if you think about that, it becomes pretty clear why our Senate is so bereft of any America Firsters, because there is no America First super donor money out there. That's exactly what Vivek Ramaswamy has been saying, and it's partly why they're so threatened by Donald Trump, because his persona, his popularity draws so much small dollar donation. From an economic standpoint, it really is a movement of the people in a political sense. So. Stop by the Senate campaign website, roycewhite.us. Make a contribution if you can. Stay tuned for the Senate campaign. We got a lot more coming to the website in terms of news and endorsements and events and things like that. Also, Free People of America, our Citizens Union 501c4 for political activism is a website that's also coming soon. You can sign up and get involved there. We're going to be doing a lot of things through there, especially in the swing states, potentially during the 2024 election campaign cycle. So that's it for me. I appreciate your viewership and listenership today and in the future. the great Professor Penn. We appreciate you being here
Thank
again.
you very much.
We got to have you back on sooner than later. It's been too long. Please, everybody, make sure you subscribe to Professor Penn Podcast for a great historical and current analysis on American politics and other cultural matters as well. The fight continues. Don't die a jerk off. And as always, Godspeed.